lovely Legionnaires. How are we doing today?
Hi.
Sorry, we had you on the waiting screen for a little bit. Let me there we go. Hello.
Hello.
So hi.
Quality content.
Quality content. Yeah, it do be like that.
Quality.
So I'll start by addressing the elephant in the room. Lio is not here. We presume something came up. But if it did, I was not informed. Nobody was. We don't know what's going on. We've messaged him. If he gets here late, he gets here late. But we'll go.
Right.
So it's just the four of us instead today. For those of you who weren't here when I talked about what we were doing, I'll explain once again. So today, we'll be reading for you the first 3 chapters of episode 13 by Craig DiLouie. We did ask permission preemptively before you flag us for copyright. I personally emailed the author. I emailed Craig DiLouie, and he gave us permission under a couple of requirements. One, that we not just cut out the reading segment and just make it part of the regular streams, which is what we'll do. It'll just go up on the VOD channel as is. And that we include a link to where you can buy the book, which I was planning on doing anyway. So up at the top of chat, I've pinned a message of where you can buy the book on Amazon. You can buy ebooks or the regular physical copy. Justin and I read it on ebooks. And I wanted to take a brief minute to say that this is all Justin's fault.
Actually, blame Gab Smulders. She recommended the book, and then I read it and was like, wow, this is such a good book.
And then Justin read it, and then Justin grabbed me by the shoulders and shook me violently and was like, hey, dumbass. And I was like, yeah? And he was like, read the book. Read the book, moron. And I was like, okay. So I did, and it was good. We didn't... What does this become? Why are you a plushie?
Oh no! I cast a spell. I'm so sorry.
I don't know.
There we go.
You mute it. No, I mute it.
I undid it.
Oh.
Oh, when you muted, you became a plushie.
Oh,
Abracadabra,
that's crazy.
abracazoo! I'll make you
No,
into
please
glue.
don't make. Well,
So, the only things.
so good.
So we're going to be starting with the formal chapter 1, which is Foundation House. There is. I did cut the prologue because I want you to read the book. If you get the book, I don't want you just skipping the first 3 chapters because you heard us read them. I want you to actually read the book. So, we'll start from Foundation House. As you can see on screen, I will be reading Claire, Mortis will be reading for Jessica, Loudon will be reading for Jake, Justin will be reading Matt, and I will also be reading Kevin, which is what Lio was supposed to do, but I'll do that as well. There are a few segments that are written by, like, other minor characters, but we've assigned those as well. They're just not going to be underneath. But we start Foundation House we'll begin with Justin. So we begin with Foundation House, and our first entry is the Fade to Black blog written by Matt Kirkland, the lead investigator.
Yeah, I want to make clear, I think it's at the very beginning of the book, it makes clear that the artifice of this is that it's found footage, but in book form, it's like they put together all the things that had to do with this event.
Dracula style.
Including journal entries, blogs, there's some emails in here, and then when there's footage, it describes it.
Yeah.
And plays out like a script.
So it's like, it's Dracula style.
Making sure nobody's confused about that.
Yeah.
Fade to Black blog, Matt Kirkland, lead investigator. Jackpot. We got it, gang. Foundation House for Lucky 13. During my 5+ years as a paranormal investigator, I've always wanted to check out this house. In our little community, it's pretty infamous. Not for the haunting, which is honestly kind of run of the mill, but the general weirdness. This place has some wild lore connected to it. Seriously, I could write a book. Nobody's ever been given access until now. A real stroke of luck. You heard me right. It's never been investigators. Ghost hunters, eat your heart out. Built in 1920 near the historic Bell Green Plantation a few miles from the little Virginia town of Denton, the mansion is a throwback to antebellum architecture. Picture large wraparound porches where you sip mint juleps while you enjoy the sunset. The house was built by Jared Wright, heir to a sugar company. When he died in the 60s, it stood...
It's just in a state.
Intestate?
No, it's just in a state.
State, yeah. That's in a state until the Paranormal Research Foundation, or PRF, bought it and moved in. That's when Wright Mansion became Foundation House. In 1972, when the Republicans renominated Nixon for president, the last American troops left Vietnam, and Bobby Fischer became the first American world chess champion. 5 paranormal all-stars lived in this house and recruited dozens of people to take part in weird experiments. Their motto was, where there's smoke, there's fire. They believe paranormal powers reside in all of us, dormant in our DNA. They were members of the Human Potential Movement, which believed humanity only used a fraction of its potential intelligence and ability. They wanted to identify paranormal abilities in people, discover their underlying mechanisms, and learn how to train and develop them to make utopia. In short, they were wacky as hell. But see it through their eyes for a minute. They envisioned a world where people could talk to the dead, could read minds, control objects remotely, travel out of their bodies, know the future. And they weren't stereotypical hippies. They were some of the leading scientists of their time, and 2 of them, Sean Roebuck and Don Chapman, were certified geniuses. As for the researchers, we know they went missing in 1972. The police files themselves vanished in the Election Day flood of 1985. So what are we investigating exactly? Over the years, neighbors driving past the property reported seeing the ghostly apparition of an abnormally tall woman appearing in the upstairs window. Local kids using it as a party hangout said they heard invisible feet stomping on the grand staircase, experienced cold spots, and witnessed strange flashing lights in the wood around it. In episode 13, Fade to Black's crack team will spend 72 hours at Foundation House. According to the owner, nobody lived in it since 1972, so we are hoping to find it more or less how the scientists left it. Using cutting-edge techniques and the latest technology, we'll investigate the paranormal claims and also see what we can learn about the Foundation itself, which makes a great opportunity for me to brag about my team. As our camera shooter, Jake Wolfson is the eyes of our little operation. Because the show is unscripted, we have to be careful about what we shoot so we don't flood our post-production. Hence his motto, the most story for the least footage. Camera shooters are usually pretty stressed out. They track the action on their little black and white viewfinder while being aware of everything that's going on and anticipating what will happen next. Jake's a solid pro, though. Nothing seems to faze him. He's a big, muscly guy with a braided gold beard and runic tattoos running down his arms. A real badass in look indeed. Then there's our tech manager, Kevin Linscott, the man with the mustache, our operations ears and technical wizard. He helps set up all the gear and monitors it while mixing audio for the show. If the camera doesn't see it, the audio catches it. Kevin's a retired Philadelphia police officer who did a lot of ghost hunting with me at Ralston. At Ralston Investigates the Paranormal. RIP. Jesus.
Right.
Sorry, I forgot about that one.
It's so stupid.
Yeah. An amateur local ghost hunting group before joining the show, and he's got all the great stories. When Claire tells me to trust the equipment, Kevin reminds me to trust my instincts and senses. Jessica Valenza is our understudy and protege. She's the professional actress the producers added to the show to round out the team. She has turned into quite the paranormal investigator. She fits right in. For a reality show, we keep things lean and mean, so we don't want people crowding around, bumping into stuff, and producing false positives on our instruments. Jessica not only helps with the investigating, but does a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff for the show. A real jack of all trades. And then there's Claire, my wonderful wife. The best of the best, adorable, and smarter than a bullwhip. She graduated magna cum laude from Virginia Tech with a PhD in physics. She designed all our ghost hunting protocols and is a crack investigator. I honestly couldn't do this without her. Working together, we're a team. But more than that, we're a family. Sorry. A family that explores... Family. It's all about family. A family that explores the unknown with a spirit of comradeship. Yeah. Camaraderie. And a whole lot of scientific curiosity to solve the oldest and greatest of human mysteries. What happens to us when we die? Oh, and I should give a shout out to one more person who makes this all work. You. Seriously. Without you, there's no show. So as always, thank you for watching and participating. This show is heaven for me, as I get to earn a living doing what I love doing most, something I'd be doing either way. So really, it's about you. I'm proud that you're on our team, and I hope you're as excited as we are about episode 13. It's going to be amazing. Foundation House, here we come.
Sorry, I actually had something in my throat. Next is That's Entertainment Magazine, television review, Fade to Black by Max Hamill. And then I'll read this. Ghost hunters, paranormal lockdown, and similar reality ghost hunting shows capitalize on America's fascination with the supernatural based on a tried and true formula. A paranormal investigation team explores a haunted location under the costumery of scientific rigor and confirms the presence of ghosts based on queasy feelings, fancy gadgets, and a few weird thumps in the night. Deserved or not, criticisms of these shows being pseudoscience smack of party pooping as they offer good fun aimed at nearly 1.5 of Americans who believe in the supernatural, ghosts in particular. Though I'm personally agnostic on the subject, I sometimes watch for the fascinating locations and the cheap thrills, which goes to show you don't have to believe in ghosts to have fun in a haunted house. Enter newcomer Fade to Black, a series picked up by Pulse USA Network, produced by former members of Ralston Investigates the Paranormal, or RIP. In Ralston, Virginia, it stars husband and wife team, Matt and Claire Kirkland, as they follow the proven formula, but with a nice twist. Matt's a true believer, and Claire's a born skeptic. Instead of coming up with new gimmicks to compete and stay fresh, they go the other way, putting the real back in reality television. With his earnest good looks, bright smile, and eternal font of optimism, Matt comes across as a nerd who woke up a rock star in an alternate universe. Even when something goes bump and the team has a freak out, you can tell he's having the time of his life. With her short, curly red mop top, Claire's cute as a button in a retro vest or cardigan complete with collared shirt and tie, sometimes even large-brimmed bowler, like she's the new Annie Hall. This willowy tomboy is the real nerd physics PhD and doing her damnedest to debunk every paranormal claim using highly sophisticated equipment. While other shows claim to use the scientific method to prove a haunting by trying to disprove it, Claire does it for real and with a vengeance. She steals the show by offering a catharsis narrative for the other half of Americans who aren't true believers and want to see a slam debunk. But it's Matt and Claire together that make the whole thing work, in no small part due to their on-screen chemistry, which involves inside jokes and occasional good-natured bickering leaking from their marriage. It gives off this otherwise self-contained reality TV show something of an arc. Imagine if X-Files, Mulder, and Scully ever tied the knot, and it'd probably look something like this. At the end of each episode, the Kirklands make their separate cases, laying out all the evidence and letting us, the viewer, decide for ourselves, spilling over into the lively debate online. Most episodes seem to end in a bust for the believers, a creative decision that takes courage on its own, but a few even made me go, And that makes the Fade to Black good television. The show tackles one of life's biggest questions. What happens to us after we die? And it turns into fodder for Monday morning chats around the water cooler. In doing so, it recognizes the fact that belief is rarely certain and always personal, while reminding us that the search for truth is half the fun. We move forward into our next segment, which is episode 13, pre-interview transcript, subject Calvin Sparling, files of Jessica Valenza, investigator. We have Mortis reading for Jessica, and then I'll read Sparling.
Hell yeah. How old are you, Calvin?
I turned 65 just last month.
Are you married? Children?
Divorced. It was a long time ago, no kids.
You said in your voicemail back to me that you participated in an experiment at the Paranormal Research Foundation in Denton, Virginia. You lived at Foundation House for 7 weeks.
Yep, the summer of 1972, answered a classified ad in the Freelance Star, said they were looking for young folks to take part in a paranormal study. Paranormal research was coming all big back then.
Is that what attracted you to answer the ad? Were you interested in it yourself?
Maybe. I don't know. I was very young, and like a lot of people, I was looking for something, only I had no idea what it was. Thought this might be it. Saw myself as having an open mind and wanting fresh experiences. Tried LSD and then was thinking about traveling the hippie trail, spending some time in India.
I went through that searching phase myself.
Yeah, I was a bum.
Well, I guess it's lucky you weren't drafted and sent to Vietnam.
Nah, by then the troops are coming home. Last of them pulled out while I was at the house.
Oh, sorry. That's right.
Hindsight, wish I had been drafted.
Why is that?
You should get on with the real questions y'all want to ask.
Okay. So, you went to Denton.
Which is in the middle of nowhere. A lot of deep, dark woods. It was once a slave plantation around there. Big house ain't easy to find. Finally came up on it, and my friend dropped me off. Wasn't supposed to live there for 3 months with room and board take care of, plus $250.
What were your first impressions?
Researchers are eggheads, but overall pretty laid back. Lived at the house with me and around a dozen other subjects, so it had a commune vibe to it. Did weird science. Grew their own food. Saw themselves as revolutionaries, part of the human potential movement. Pioneered the whole new science and understanding of reality. Where there's smoke, there's fire.
What does that mean, that last part?
It was their motto. History's filled with unexplainable and dismissible phenomena. Wanted it to stop ignoring it and start explaining it. If they could explain it, they could control it, make it work for us.
Us?
People, humans, wanted to change the world.
What kind of experiments did they have you do?
Whole mess of things. Held up cards with numbers on the other side and asked me to guess what number they were holding. Had me stare at a gal in another room while they monitor her heart rate, so on. Figured I was good at staring, because the next day they had me eyeball a string of random numbers produced by a computer, try to force them to go a certain way with my mind. Seemed kind of silly, but it was interesting.
Oh.
Hello?
What else do you remember about the experiments?
Gansfeld experiments were pretty odd. Sit in a sensory deprivation chair with headphones and blackout goggles and talk out loud what I saw in my mind's eye. But I didn't know at the time they had somebody else trying to beam the image of an object into my head with their own mind, you know. Afterwards, docs would hold up 4 cards with images on them. Horse, apple, that kind of thing. Asked me to point at the one that was beamed at me. Tried to do it with dreams, in my case, lucid dreaming, as I can do that.
Did it work?
Well, researchers didn't jump for joy or nothing, so maybe not. Starting to wonder if they were really just studying blind chance. Later I found out I did better than most, either through luck or something else.
But you left the program early anyway. You quit.
Yep, I did.
Can you tell me why?
At a certain point, experiments stopped. Docs let all but 3 of us subjects go. Figured as soon as the experiments had been a vetting process to find a certain kind of subject, and me and 2 of the others were special for some reason. We were the ones who took part in the big one.
Can you describe the experiment?
Docs took me into a small room, in the basement. They turned into a machine. Metal cylinders like columns stood against the walls, all wired together with thick cable. Something about introducing energy at different frequencies, they said. As for me, I sat in a chair in front of a table that was all shiny, made of stainless steel. On the other side, they'd put a freestanding mirror where I could look at myself, and that was it.
What was upsetting, though? It doesn't sound all that...
I ain't done yet. They turned the machine on.
Ah, okay. What happened then?
First umpteen times over as many days, nothing at all. Last time I sat down and got ready to be mightily bored staring at my own face. And then the room started to hum.
The machine made a lot of noise.
Not this time. I mean, yeah, they were loud and a kind of whirring white noise, but this was something else. Air itself seemed to hum, a pulsing I could feel as a vibrating knot in my chest. Sound so deep I barely heard it at first, but once I noticed it, was all I could hear. Air's thick with it. Everything went fuzzy, vibrating. My eyeballs shook in their sockets, my teeth. I wanted to yell at the docs outside, stop the experiment, and let me out, but I either couldn't talk or couldn't hear myself. Gravity crushed me into my chair. I could hardly breathe.
You were scared.
Well, no shit, I was scared.
Oh.
Sorry about that. Anyways, all this was bad enough. Wasn't the worst part. Worst was seeing these feelings came out of nowhere. Well, scared shitless, yeah, but it was more than that. Don't even know what to call it. Dread, maybe? Animal terror? feeling I was not only being stared at, but that something stood right behind me, drilling holes into the back of my head.
Okay.
Underneath it was this emptiness, a sense I didn't matter. Nothing mattered. I was a lab rat about to get injected with cancer. Just scary enough for the rat, but suddenly it realizes, oh, I'm just a rat. All along I thought I was important, but there's giants who don't regard me as important at all.
That does sound terrible.
That's when the table liquefied.
What?
The whole time I'm staring at myself in the mirror. I saw my eyes bulging, my mouth open wide, a brownish yellow aura flaring around my body. I thought if only the guy in the mirror would move, I could too. I'd get out of there. He just sat there. That's when I didn't even recognize him as me anymore. Just a dumb, long-haired kid crying and pissing himself. Then he started to fall apart in the vibrations. Got even fuzzier. Like he was breaking apart into atoms, but part of me knew. Just knew. I was finally seeing him as he really was. The way the universe does. Unfiltered by human eyes. I suddenly didn't want him to move. I wanted him to stay put. I had a dead certainty he was going to walk out of that mirror and it wouldn't be good.
Wow. What about the table? You said...
Yeah, it started shimmering. Like the steel had liquefied, like you look at a fish pond and, there's bluegill under there swimming around.
Incredible.
And a hand came out of it.
Jesus.
Ordinary hand. Thin like a woman's, reaching up from the steel tabletop. Not out of the steel, it was the steel. Like the metal had been turned to latex. Hand was stretching it to its limit. Fingers played like they were tickling the air, waving hello. I didn't want to know. All I knew was I didn't want it touching me. I was a lab rat now, looking at the needle, dripping with cancer.
What happened next?
Fuse blew. Machine power down, heavy feeling broke. Air had an oily sheen to it, but otherwise, reality sort of settled back into what it was supposed to be. Could hear myself screaming now. I'd puked all over myself, sitting in my own shit and piss and shaking like a leaf. Because at the end, second hand slid out from under the table and it caressed my knee.
What did it feel like when it did? Do you remember?
It's something you forget. Other hand felt cold and dead. First it was like a corpse's hand accidentally brushed me, then a whole other horrible feeling shuddered through me. Thought it was dead. Again, I can't describe it. Empty, panic, corrupt. Words for it haven't even been invented yet.
What did the researchers do, or say after the experiment ended?
Asked me a million questions. I don't remember what I told them. I kept asking if they saw it too. Did they see it? Wanted to know if it communicated with me. What did it say? Couldn't stop crying. I was even barking like a dog at one point, but they were all grinning and excited, and one of them told me I'd made history, said I was like the first monkey shot into space, making first contact. That's how they put it. Like, even though I was a lab rat, we were all on the same team, trailblazing the big cure. Slept for 2 days. When I woke up, hoofed it out of there in my pajamas all the way back to Fredericksburg.
What do you think was going on? What did they do to you?
I spent my whole life thinking on that very question. Messed around with LSD, and at first I thought maybe they'd triggered a flashback, though I'd never had a bad trip. Then later on I stopped believing that. They did something far worse to me, man. Something left a permanent mark.
Permanent? How so?
So many times in my life I'd look down at my hands and not believe they were my hands. I'd look at people and they'd fuzz around the edges into black dust like little dancing fruit flies. Look out my window and see a world I suddenly understood wasn't real. Could almost see the darker one behind it. Millions of fish swimming behind it, watching us.
I'm so sorry about what happened to you.
You should get on with your next question.
Okay, what do you think of us going into Foundation House? Do you think we're making a mistake?
Mistake? Hell, I'm glad y'all are going.
Why do you say that?
I want y'all to find out what happened to me.
If the Kirklands agree to interview you on camera, what does your availability look like this week?
Oh, I don't want to be on camera. This ain't about that.
Then why did you agree to this pre-interview?
I want to know what happened to me. It's the only thing that's missing. I want to know what happened and if there's a cure so my bad luck stops. Most of my life I've been a dead man trapped in a live body. Cursed.
How about we...
At this point, Sparling terminates the call.
What a wild interview. Not our usual thing, but weird as fuck. Obviously, the Foundation gave him some type of hallucinatory drugs and or messed with his brainwave somehow. But his story is terrific stuff. I called back multiple times, but he wouldn't pick up the phone. I'm so sorry I couldn't get him to commit. I tried my best. There's still potential here. I recommend we put Sparling on ice for now and reapproach after we go into the house. We could make it a quid pro quo if we dig up anything interesting about the experiment he went through. Imagine if we find out what drug they gave him. We could help him, and it'd give us an amazing storyline for the show. Jess.
The dog is my favorite character. The alebrije. The creatures, they bark.
The alebrijes are going wild.
Going crazy.
I'm just glad... I don't think my mic picked it up, but Duchess has been crying at the same time, too.
It has not picked up though, Jess, no.
Oh, God. Okay, cool.
Next is
Cool.
Fade to Black website, page The Team, Kevin Lynn Scott, tech manager. I'll read this too, I guess. Testing. 1, 2, 3. As Fade to Black's tech manager, I handle the audio mixing from different mics. When something goes bump in the night, that's me catching it. When people yell and all hell breaks loose, I know what's happening. Besides that, I run a lot of the ghost hunting gear. Remote cams, loggers, recorders, sensors, detectors, you name it. We even have a little handheld weather station unit. Tech available for paranormal investigation has come a long way. But at heart, I'm an investigator. Here's my bio. I once met a demon. Before I retired, I protected and served as Philadelphia police officer for 12 years. The oldest police force in the country, and the 4th largest after New York, Chicago, and Los Angeles. City's also one of the most dangerous places to police. Every time I went out on my patrol car, I rolled the dice, so to speak. Nobody seemed to want us there. I worked in a neighborhood where residents saw blue and flipped me the finger and told me to fuck myself as I rolled past. It wore some guys down, but I don't mind. Around 2 years before I left the force, I wallowed in recovery from a nasty divorce, and the department felt like the only home I had that mattered. Job was hard, but I could rely on it. Each morning, I'd put on my blue uniform and pin my badge with pride. Holster my Glock next to my baton, radio, taser, pepper spray, handcuffs. Uniform fit like a second skin, and the 20-odd pounds of gear on my Batman belt felt right. I was a big guy, but you should have seen me then. I was in way better shape back in the day. Better even than our cameraman, Jake Wolfson. I'd roll out every day like a superhero to save a city from itself. So around that time, I ended up responding to a robbery at a liquor store. Wrestled this dude to the ground only to find out he had a gun, and blasted it right next to my face, blowing out my left eardrum. Training kicked in, jumped back, shot him through the chest. And I just sat there, fighting for air while I watched him thrash around and die. Couldn't shake the feeling I'd let the department down, that I'd be at the center of a public backlash, but board judged it a clean shooting, and after some weeks of medical leave, my ear healed with no hearing loss, and I returned to duty. Coroner said the dude had been wet to the gills on PCP. Whole thing blew over. Life went on like it never happened, but not for me. Every time I closed my eyes, I watched him die. Shooting even showed up in my dreams, the dude thrashing around in his own blood, screaming, "Let me try again, I can do it," imploring me or God. I still don't know which. Now all ghosts haunt houses. Some try to live in your head. They're coming for me. You watch. I told anybody who would listen. I'll lose my badge. The only thing I can count on. I was in a bad place. Happens to some cops, and now it happened to me. Couldn't shake the feeling retribution headed my way like a big speeding truck I could sense, but couldn't see or hear. Sergeant Scalzo finally pulled me into his office. We patrol guys looked up to him as something of a father figure. Asked me if I'd seen the shrink. I told him, yeah, sure, for all the good it had done me. "Let me try again," I heard myself saying. Sergeant asked me how many shots I'd fired. I said 3. On the spot, he took 3 bullets from his own gun and handed them over. "Now you're whole again, Lynn Scott," he said. "Stay that way." For a while, it worked like a spell. Every day I put on my game face, went to roll call, drove to my zone for another tough shift. And I got a radio call from the dispatch to respond to a domestic violence incident. I hated DVs. They're tense as hell. Everyone's yelling. Everyone's intoxicated. And people live there. If they have a weapon, they know exactly where they've stashed it. They're dangerous. So when I showed up first, waited for another unit to arrive so we could go in together. Just my luck. Turned out to be Wexler, nervous rookie. Gonna be cool but careful, I told him. A lot of times it's some asshole who has a hang-up about power and control. It's why he beats his old lady. We represent the only thing that can take it away from him, so it's just us being here is gonna piss him off. Observe and listen. The kid quoted right from training. Right. First thing we have to do is calm everybody down. Didn't have my hopes up. The housing project was infamous for crime. Residents hated cops. Most crimes went unreported. Somebody beat on somebody else hard enough that the police got a call. It must be real, real bad. Turned out it was. Not at first, though. In fact, I'd wondered if we'd been pranked. Stood outside the apartment the dispatcher sent us to. Corridor stood empty, though you could hear voices and TV laugh tracks and other noises from behind closed doors. One apartment that stayed quiet was the one right in front of us. You know the overused TV expression, it's too quiet? Of course you do. Probably heard it a ton of times. Some wordsmith invented it exactly for situations like this one. It really was just too quiet. Cop instinct started to itch. Something wasn't right. Okay, breathed, gave the door a gentle rap with my knuckles. This is the police. There's been a noise complaint. Can we talk to you a minute? Door creaks open, reveals a large woman peppered with blood spray. Bruise bloomed on the right side of her face, which seemed to balloon before my very eyes. What's your name, ma'am? I asked. Lydia Browning. You need immediate medical help? I'm all right. Who do you live here with? My husband, Frank. Did he do this to you? He's under a lot of pressure at work. They're never happy with him, ever. No matter what he does, they're never happy. She sounded like a recorder playing taped speech. They're always telling him he's going to lose his job. Is he in the apartment now? Frank's in the kitchen. Okay, I say. You're safe now, Lydia. This is Officer Wexler. He'll stay with you in the living room while I talk to your husband. And I found him right where Lydia said he was. Or rather, what was left of him. She'd been making dinner. Big pot boiled on the stove. Open can of tomato sauce had been spilled all over the counter. Half-chopped green peppers lay scattered on a cutting board, mixed up with little pieces by her husband. And I forced myself to look at the rest of it. Body lay on the floor. Big, ugly knife rested half buried in the guy's chest. Blood had spattered up the wall. Across the clock ran 10 minutes slow. Whole room smelled horrible. Something's burned in the oven. Black, sizzling. It was Frank's scalp. After I closed the oven door, I saw a shadow figure on the wall, its head covering the clock. A pressure building in my brain. A voice taunted me as a murderer. I'd kill the man. Was I up for doing it again? What's one more? Shoot the old lady. It'd be justice. You're wrong, I thought. That's not me. Get out, the voice says. Get out, get out, get out! And I back through the door. Blood patterned the frame, twisted into terrible sigils, another type of communication and far more ominous. It spoke of bad luck and curses and black magic. It's behind me. I wheel. My hand's on my Glock's grip, but only Lydia and Wexler stood there, looking back at me. When my eyes met hers, every picture mounted on the room's walls leapt off their hooks and crashed to the floor. Lydia extends her hands for the cuffs. He said, I'm free now. Team thinks I tell this story too much. I don't think I tell it enough. We move on to thoughts on the FTB direction from Paisley Hirsch to Matt Kirkland, CC Jonathan Vaughns, and Samuel Kleins. Justin, if you would.
An email. Thank you for sending your ideas for future development for FTB and plans for episode 13. We've been in love with this property ever since we caught your sizzle reel. Jonathan and I have been discussing how it might break out to the next level. The first 10 episodes performed very well. Episode 11 was our first that did not grow in ratings, and episode 12 ominously showed a slight dip. The episode captured 506,000, 0.2 share in FM 1849, 0.14 M 1849, and 0.27 P50 plus. The show did very well grabbing share in a crowded field to gain a coveted spot behind Ghost Hunters. It built an audience to crack the top 50 original cable telecasts in its time slot. I think we can all agree, however, that the jury's out on whether the formula has lasting appeal. The network is getting nervous, which isn't good. At an average of $145K per episode, we're not terribly concerned about costs, as we feel the property is efficient for now. If we have to cut costs, Jessica Valenza could be dropped from some episodes, though we are averse to doing that, as being African American, she adds a nice touch of diversity to both the show and the very white genre. In fact, we are thinking a good approach might be to go the other way and lean into the team and their personal lives, as our research shows strong favorables for all the characters, especially you and Claire, but also Jessica and your tech manager, Kevin Linscott, who is a font of colorful stories from his years as a police officer. Brief
aside. When I was reading this book, I don't know about you, when I was reading the book, when I had to stop and go to Justin when they're like, we're averse to doing it because, you know, she's black, so she adds a nice touch of diversity to the... I had looked at Justin and I'm like, I fucking hate this because this feels so aggressively real.
Real, yeah.
It's so fucked up and it's so gross. But I was like, oh, this has been in someone's fucking CC line at some point. Jesus Christ.
It is a very white genre.
Oh, for
doing
sure.
something about it is...
I wonder why.
You know. Yeah.
I wonder why ghost hunting's so white genre.
Why. Fade to Black is a show about ghost hunting where we rarely see evidence of ghosts due to its more scientific approach. Perhaps we could evolve it to be a show about the ghost hunters themselves, the search for truth and why they do it. People come for the ghosts, but they stay for the characters. To shake it up even more, we might have ghost appearances from mediums or other hunter. We might have guest appearances, from mediums or other hunters, or maybe even a fan who shares a social media promo post with the most followers. As another thought, if we develop the characters more while sticking to the high-tech approach, we might increase revenues from the product placement, get manufacturers of paranormal investigation gear to sponsor us, taking up their brands for the ghost hunting hobbyists that make up an important segment in our core audience. Let's think on it. Take your team and generate some ideas. We don't have to do anything right now. Let's get episode 13 under wraps. As we head into the season endgame with the 2 final episodes, however, we'll need to start executing a new direction that builds to a strong finale, one that will make season 2 a sure thing for the network. We love working with you. We love working with you, and know you can do it. Maybe start a Let's Play channel. Play I forgot the ghost hunting game. Play Phasmophobia in VR.
Talk about the technicalities of ghost hunting in VR. God.
Yeah. Jesus Christ, no. As somebody that has a VR setup, God, no.
We move to yet another email. Hunting ghosts with crazy white people from Rashida Brewer, aka Jessica Valenza, to her sister Tamika Brewer.
I don't know what you want me to say, sis. I know Mama is having issues with her gout, but she's fully capable of taking care of little Grady during the times I'm away. I don't hear Mama complaining. I'm surprised and sad that I have to hear it from you. Contrary to what you may think, I'm not gallivanting in a skimpy cocktail dress at Hollywood parties. This weekend, I'll be in the middle of nowhere upstate, sleeping on a cot in an abandoned house that's crawling with who knows what. I'll be sucking down Allegra, and the whole time... Oh god, I'll be sucking down Allegra the whole time just to keep myself from sneezing to death. I'm sorry if I sound mad, but I am mad. You saying I'd rather be Jessica Valenza than the name I was born with? The person I was born? I know exactly who I am, thank you very much. I'm a 32-year-old actor with a 4-year-old boy. Oh, God. I'm a 32-year-old actor with a 4-year-old boy whose daddy ditched on trying to hit his luck at Broadway up in New York. I'm an actor who's put in way more hours as a bartender than the few theater and commercial and modeling gigs I scored before Fade to Black came along. This is my one big shot. Understand? Yeah, it's a dumb show where I run around in the dark with crazy white people, as you so nicely put it. It's demanding as hell and doesn't pay squat. Honestly, I was doing better bartending. But this show is the biggest thing I've ever done. The show is peaking. I can feel it. It basically runs on a single gimmick, which is Claire Kirkland ruining everyone's fun. But I think it's wearing thin. For all I know, every episode I do is the last. That means I have to treat every episode like an audition tape. I have to set up and represent, bells on, and tits out. I know I was hired because Vogan and Hirsch wanted another pretty face on camera. But a pretty face doesn't guarantee your next gig, or even that your current gig will last. Because I'm the only professional actor in the cast, I have more to prove. The producers might boo Claire, which might give me a chance to step up and get a lead role, but I might boost my favorables and get hired by Ghost Brothers or another show. This means a lot of jumping at noise and yelling, "What the hell was that?" A lot. which is real because most of the time I'm actually scared out of my mind and so worked up that I'm ready to believe anything. It means a lot of improv about every creepy feeling and dramatic monologuing at invisible people haunting empty rooms. It means convincing the team I'm in tune with the spirit world. I have to out Matt, and I can tell you that ain't an easy thing. And don't tell me how I'm presenting an image for today's Black woman. I fully understand every time an African American appears on TV, the whole race is being judged. Believe me, I feel it. But it's just more pressure I don't need. The point is, if you want to make it in this business, you have to put yourself out there, making sacrifices and, yeah, even do a little suffering. Grady is everything to me, but I'd rather be a good mom who realizes a lifelong dream and has a real career than get sucked into some endless pursuit to be mom of the year. You know how they tell you on the plane to put oxygen mask on yourself before your kid? The same goes with life. Mama understands this too and is supporting me. In his way, Grady does too. He comes first for me, but I need this. I ask you, Tamika, to please support me too. You're my best and only sister, and I love you. Right now, I need all the support I can get from my family, not more pressure. Now, say you'll do it and that you love me. Don't make me come over there to hug you and punch you.
We move from that to Claire Kirkland's journal, which is also mine. I don't think I want to do this anymore. Ghost hunting, pseudoscience, hours of driving in this van, showing up at homes and businesses so I can prove a negative and become a celebrity for it, everyone's favorite stick in the mud. Journaling was Matt's idea. The mind is the ultimate camera, he says. The body is the ultimate sensor. When we visit the location, open your mind, write down every single feeling, everything is usable. It also makes a nice extra for the website, crew sharing raw impressions, and I have to admit, it's smart marketing. Journals draw a ton of eyeballs and engagement. We write whatever we want, and we edit it down for the website. I'm getting a jump on mine early, at the start of another long drive in the Mystery Machine, to spend a weekend in a dusty, moldy old house infested with bugs, bats, and animal turds, where I'll be turning 32. In these pages, I can say what I can't tell anyone else, and hopefully process some big feelings that have nothing to do with spirits. At least on these first pages, before I start adding the bits fit for public consumption. Remember that, Claire. No accidental posting. Dear Diary, Matt sits next to me behind the wheel, quizzing Jessica on her conversation with Calvin Sparling. Jessica, the gorgeous dimpled actor, stuck playing the only role she could get in a profession crowded with gorgeous people. My hubby uses the walkie-talkie as Jessica, Jake, and Kevin are driving in the camper ahead of us. The other two subjects who made it to the end of the experiments, Jessica chirps from the speaker, died in the early 80s. Suicides. Grisly kind. One of them literally starved herself to death. Cue scary music. Where there's smoke, there's fire. In this case, unethical experiments and untreated mental illness, though, of course, Kevin wrestles the radio away from Jessica to offer his own interpretation. Negative spirits, he says. Matt radios back. This could get interesting. Prospect of dealing with a malevolent and dangerous entity only excites my other half. You might think it's because the dash cam is capturing all this, but it's real. You know how kids love to explore? Matt never outgrew that. His childlike excitement is infectious enough to get people to follow him into the dark, enough to get Vogan and Hirsch to pay him to do it. His enthusiasm makes a striking effect on his boyish face, and his eyes are deep and dark, and his mouth purses under a prominent cheekbones, and his tight little smile, like he's guarding the world's biggest secret, and is dying to share it with you, and you alone, when the time is right. It's actually kind of adorable. He's got that look right now as he tells us all the nasty things a negative spirit might try to do with us, and how we'll need to be careful because safety first. Traditional paranormal investigator look is big game hunter. Black t-shirt under hunting vest, bulging with batteries and gear. Back in our YouTube and Patreon crowdfunding days, the t-shirt all had the RIP logo on them, which we displayed like military patch. Like a police badge, giving us all special authority. The complete look said, "This is not Ghostbusters cosplay. I come from a very serious profession. Scientific, but hands-on and dangerous." The investigator look has since evolved. One Matt adopted after we got the Pulse TV deal. Now it's a cross between aging rock star and The Matrix. The old look branded the profession. New look is supposed to brand us individually. It says, "I go where others fear to tread. There are people out there who need my help, which only I can give." It says, "Badass." Right now, Matt sports his trademark leather jacket, and Jessica wears one too. As a point of old school pride, Kevin still wears the old FTB windbreaker, topping it off with a jet black FTB ball cap. Jake usually has on a black t-shirt and battered old ball cap regardless of the weather. Me, I break the mold by wearing what I've always worn, which is my trademark Velma from Scooby-Doo look. Ties or turtlenecks, a hat, comfy gray raincoat, as I'm prone to getting cold, especially on damp, gray autumn days like today. Basically, I'm a waif. Kevin is now retelling a story from his days as a Philly cop, where he ran into the demonic spirit when responding to the domestic violence call. We've heard this one many times. I think Kevin's a little full of it and has some unresolved issues. The van leaves the highway, and it's suddenly in another world. Endless brooding acres of maple, oak, and pine. We're in rural Virginia now. I tune out Kevin's stories while Matt smiles and asks tons of questions, instantly absorbing every bit of knowledge and adding it to his toolkit. My hubby's enthusiasm for the paranormal dragged me into all of this. None of us would be here without him. I was a physics grad student at Virginia Tech when we started dating. There, I studied the mysteries of the universe, quarks and dark energy and parallel dimensions and the God particle. I dreamed of being the girl who produced a defensible theory of everything. Yet it all seemed so mundane, so gratingly rational compared to what Matt was into. Ghost hunting. Searching for evidence of the paranormal, a dangerous and exciting world, a challenge addictive from the words what if. You see, I'd grown up a very logical world, the only daughter of two loving middle-class intellectuals who raised me to think critically. We'd celebrate Christmas, but when I asked if there was a Santa Claus, the folks said, some people believe there's a Santa, some people don't. What do you believe? Same with the Easter Bunny, the Tooth Fairy, and God. They exposed me to spirituality and various religions, but didn't raise me in one, trusting I'd choose for myself when I was old enough to be able to choose. Anything else they saw as brainwashing. In short, I'm a born skeptic, but I was also raised as one. The nature and nurture worked out well for me, but I've always been a little drawn to passion and its delusions. The mad scientist who builds a monster in his lab is my idea of bad boy hot. My way of rebelling, I guess. Maybe it's also because even though I don't believe, I sometimes wish there was real evidence so I could. Sometimes I want to believe I can believe. At the time we started dating, Matt was with an amateur group called Ralston Investigates the Paranormal, or RIP. After a few proper dates, he invited me out on an investigation, and the team fanned out and disappeared with their motion sensors, electromagnetic field detectors, spirit boxes, tape recorders, or electronic voice phenomena. I found the whole thing so weird, it was intoxicating. The future hubby and I ended up doing it in a room where, legend has it, a jilted prom queen once slit her wrists and sometimes appears to pace in her pretty dress. After, Matt told me what happened to him when he was a kid. His friendship with a girl named Tammy, who turned out to be a ghost. I doubted his perception, though, not his sincerity. I believe he believes it, and that he found it meaningful. If something comes from a point of total belief, it's not exactly a hoax. Real or not, the story touched me, and it certainly explained his passion to search for ghosts. I think that part of him never stopped being a kid. It's more than just a love of the dead. It's a love for truth, coupled with a belief that anything is possible. Most of all, he just wants to know. That we've always had in common. Only I approach it differently, needing objective over subjective evidence when it comes to accepting objective truths. After our first investigation, I still enjoyed hearing his stories, but I stopped going out ghost hunting myself. When he asked why, I gave him the truth. It was all bull cookies. When someone makes a claim, they assume the burden of proof, and the proof itself must be trustworthy. Investigations use equipment, produce margins of error you could drive a ghost story through. Houses make noise all the time. Every single odd thing the investigators saw or feeling they had, they interpreted as evidence of a haunting. The EMF meters picked up ghosts from cell phones and wiring. The SLS camera found random ghosts in the backgrounds, displayed as colorful stick figures. Digital camera flashes reflected from dust and bugs and pollen and raindrops in the air were called ghost orbs and taken as definitive evidence. It was fun, not science. Make-believe. People delude themselves all the time, and this one was relatively harmless, but come on. If Matt wanted to do it for real, he had to get real about doing it. In other words, I came across like the world's biggest party pooper, but Matt went wild for it. This is exactly what I needed to hear. He said, yes, let's do it. By the time I graduated, we were already married, and Matt earned a fair salary at an advertising agency. He asked me to join him in producing a YouTube show which paranormal investigations were conducted with strict adherence to the scientific method, and I could present my findings. Sounded like good fun, and it was, at least for a little while. My idea of slumming it with the weird kids. Next thing I knew, our popular YouTube show was picked up by Pulse, and I was debunking hauntings on TV. Which is not good for me. I want to be a real scientist, not play one on screen. Once a week, I have the job of disproving something that can't really be disproven. It's like setting up cameras and recorders and disproving God. In a sense, I'm actually hurting science, since every time an anomaly shows up on our equipment that I can't explain, it's automatically assumed to be a paranormal entity. Abnormalities don't mean ghosts. They're just things I can't explain. To see what kind of discussion we were generating, I once made the mistake of reading the comments on one of our YouTube videos. A few applauded my scientific approach and how the show had enough integrity to shoot down claims of hauntings. Far more speculated on what I must be like in bed. I thought I'd be further along in life by now. I'm starting something big with my PhD. I'm about to turn 32, and despite all my yearnings, I don't feel like I've really done anything yet. In short, I've gone this far with Fade to Black, but I think I've hit a wall. I was never interested in being an entertainer. I was always interested in science and paranormal investigation, offered a distracting challenge, but I've taken it as far as I can, though. I came into this with a burning desire to know, but after endless experimentation, I feel like I know enough. Ghosts don't exist. Period. It's more make-believe. I say this with all the love in my heart and respect to my husband and his childhood memories, but no, ghosts aren't real. Once I'm gone, Fade to Black can achieve its full potential. I helped Matt realize his dream, but now I think I'm just holding it back. Well, I know for damn sure that it's become a ball and chain on my own aspirations. My graceful departure would be best for all concerned. At some point, playing it straight's gonna wear out its welcome, and viewers are gonna get bored. The producers will set tougher standards on what's producible as an episode. Give up the ghosts, or at least some juicy interpersonal drama. They'll hit, or fade into oblivion. I'm just not cut for the implicit brutality of the reality TV business and what's expected of me. So, dear diary, the big question is, how do I tell Matt? And that is the end of Chapter 1, Foundation House. We now...
Very
Good shit.
cool.
Boop.
I am interested.
It's a good book!
Mm-hmm.
Right.
We now move to Chapter
I wish I could read.
I wish you could, too.
There are things called audiobooks.
Is there an
sponsored by
audiobook?
Audible.com. Oh, of course there. Hold on. Well, I'll triple check before I
Yeah,
tell you why.
because yeah,
I
not every book out there does have an audiobook, but if there is one for this, I would please. Please.
Please! If I recall correctly...
I'm not gonna lie. I'm
There
getting
is one.
such impending doom.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you think?
Mhm.
Oh, no.
This is the
Bad
exact
things don't
same
happen in
feeling
horror media. I don't...
This is the exact. This feels so Blair Witch. Like,
It does. It's
Yeah.
part of why
Mhm.
I read the first chapter and I'm like, oh, I'm all about this.
yeah.
right?
is-
Because I was like, oh, this is some Blair Witch type feelings right now. Oh, and
It's
all I'm
great.
thinking is, all right, who's gonna get horribly butchered?
There's no...
Is
Yeah.
it the wife? Is it the wife? Or is it the actress we about to see?
I don't know
Well,
what
the
you're
actress is black, as we've talked about.
Mhm.
I don't know what you're talking about. That's
No,
crazy.
no.
Yeah, because you know the,
No,
Mhm.
kitty
the
cat,
black
no.
girl, the black girl always stays alive in the horror movies.
It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Well,
You're
she
doubly
did in
okay.
Alien versus Predator.
She does.
Mm.
She was the
You
final
know,
girl.
fair.
Happy for her.
I'm gonna tell you, I'll give you one mild spoiler.
Mm-hmm.
Jessica gets out the best.
Hell yeah.
But it's bad.
Hallelujah.
That doesn't mean it's good.
bad, but Jessica makes it out the best.
Oh well, shit. Never mind.
Yeah. Like,
I was about to say.
Just-
I was
just-
about to say thank you, Jesus, for Black Kids Month.
you know what?
We live in.
Listen,
That's not even a spoiler. That's an expectation setter.
that's a tone setter,
The
yeah.
sister don't get killed horribly.
It's
We
true.
take what we can get.
Mhm.
We take the W's we can find.
Man.
Jesus.
She attack.
She does. She does attack.
She attacks the ghosts.
She's been screaming and crying this whole time, which is why I've been on mute.
She doesn't
There are
like.
ghosts.
She doesn't like the ghosts.
She doesn't like
Yeah.
the ghosts. Even she's
God.
spooked.
God, you're over here talking about. Oh well.
Well,
Wild convoy. Well.
Look
First
who
off-
it is.
Are you okay?
Yeah, are you alright?
Yeah. Yeah, for real.
I will be. It's just been rough. I'm really sorry I overslept.
It's okay, no big deal.
Oh.
We can talk about it after. Don't worry about it. I'm just glad you're
Yeah.
here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, I don't have to read your lines anymore. Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so where are we on this?
We're starting. You have perfect timing. We're just starting day 1, so we're just starting the next chapter.
Do you have the
Let
link?
me get to the next chapter. I do. I'm looking at the Google Doc right now.
Yeah.
Poggers.
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 All right.
Chat as well is all well.
Well, it wasn't Convoy of the Lyle variety.
What page are we on?
We are on page 17.
17.
I think if you do Control F and just look for day 1, it should take you right to it.
I'll do that as well. Yes. Oh wait, hang on.
It in fact did not. It had me make a suggestion. That's it.
Good job.
Woof.
Immaculate.
Very cool. Thank you, Google.
That might not be a Google thing. That might be a me thing. It's a distinct possibility.
Oh.
Never
real
get rid of
quick,
the possibility that I'm stupid.
So, what's Kevin's deal here, real quick?
So Kevin is an ex-Philly cop. He's a good dude. He's kind of an asshole.
He also saw a demon.
He did also see
Yeah.
a demon on a DV case. Unironically, why I thought about you.
I was about to say, doggone it. That made this for
Hey,
me.
motherfucker.
Yeah, a little bit. Listen,
Damn.
I gotta be real. When I was like, I know who I'm asking. The 3 of those choices were obvious.
Congratulations. You've been John Bernthal. You've been typecasted.
Good job. Get in the box.
All right.
All right, so let's see here.
Okay, so we start day 1. I'll read the set directions. Your lines are marked out in red.
I see that.
I'll read, well, if it isn't Boonslayer. Jesus Christ, chat.
Wrestling.
Wrestling.
Magic the Gathering.
Magic the Gathering.
Magic the Gathering.
TCGs. Genshin Impact,
Yu-Gi-Oh!
Genshin Impact.
Gay, homosexual, gay.
I like men.
my beautiful husband.
My beautiful husband. And you just turn and it's a fucking CRT.
Right. Fucking,
Oh, Lord.
a fucking 1980s CRT television.
I fucking love MTR. Anyway. So we start with day 1. Our first section is Fade to Black, production episode 13, Paranormal Research Foundation. Director Matt Kirkland, camera Jake Wolfson. Labali pines crowd the lens, a thick forest shrouded in shadow. The camera jerks to settle on several people standing in front of the chopped columns of a stately old mansion, partly wrapped in kudzu. At one time, the big house was a brilliant white, but the paint is peeling, and time and nature have reduced it to a dull gray.
Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers.
Give me a sec, Claire. This lav mic.
Right there works. Feels fine now. Windy out here today, though.
Don't worry about it. It's coming from behind you, and put a...
He sells seashells down by the seashore.
dead cat on the Boone shotgun.
Seashells.
So we should be fine.
Mark,
Testing?
Rubber baby buggy bumpers.
You're both good for sound.
You about done warming up the voice box, darling?
Just a second. Yes, okay, I got this.
We're rolling.
Welcome to another episode of Fade to Black, where we put paranormal claims to their toughest test. I'm Matt Kirkland, lead investigator.
And I'm Claire Kirkland, co-lead investigator. Matt sweeps his arms to present Foundation House's warped Miranda.
Behind me, on this gray fall day, you see what looks like an old mansion you'd find in a scary movie. For me, it's the Holy Grail. This is the home of the Paranormal Research Foundation, whose scientists mysteriously vanished in 1972.
Locals have reported an apparition, flashing lights, and cold temperatures around the site, but that's not what caught our eye.
That's right. Unexplained phenomenon are only part of the history of this place. Reports about the Foundation are hard to credit. Their experiments defied all standards of decency and possibly broke laws. Human experiments.
Most towns we visit, the people living here advertise spooky legends to draw tourists, but not here. As far as we know, the house has never been investigated. We expect to find very little contamination at the site.
Very little. In fact, the house has not been occupied at all since the disappearances. Once we get inside, we expect almost everything to be just as the Foundation left it. I've always wanted to explore this one, not only for its paranormal activities, but its unsolved mystery.
Matt talked about this house on our first date. Matt laughs at a bit of this ad-lib, but once he starts, he can't stop. Claire joins him.
She's right. I did. Ooh, okay. Let's pick it up from here.
Anytime you're ready.
Is this house haunted? And, just as important, what happened to the paranormal researchers who worked here? Come with us as our investigative team applies leading-edge ghost hunting equipment to one of the most exciting and mysterious sites we've ever explored. Stay tuned as we fade to black.
And cut.
How was that?
Awesome.
Awesome.
Oh, sorry. I'm stupid.
Awesome. Good job.
I think it was good.
Human experiment part didn't sound a bit hokey.
Actually, I was wondering if I pivoted away from it too fast.
How about we take that part again?
Anything for ratings. Matt laughs and wraps his wife in a hug.
I love you, honey.
I love seeing you so giddy about this one. You're acting like a little kid on Christmas morning, like you did on our first date.
This is going to be the episode that changes everything.
Sure was.
Foreshadowing.
You don't say!
Foreshadowing is a literary device.
Foreshadowing is a literary device in which... Fade to Black production, episode 13, Paranormal Research Foundation. Field notes, Matt Kirkland.
3:30 p.m. Matt and Claire pull up to Foundation House, get out of the van, and greet Jim Birdwell, who works for Gravos Holdings Ltd., the property owner. Good. Good, yeah. 3:33 p.m. Matt tells Birdwell the team is here to help, but Birdwell says he doesn't need it. The owners agreed to allow FTB on site as the property's been sold. The house will be torn down. A luxury wilderness hotel is going up. Usable? 3:48 p.m. Birdwell shows off the main floor. Houses as the Foundation left it, but plenty of graffiti, broken glass, used condoms, and such, mostly in the family room, left by partying kids. Library, dining room, base camp, kitchen, main bedroom, converted to offices. Research offices, good. Review. 4:05 p.m. Walk up the grand staircase, where partying kids said they heard heavy footsteps. Big painting of Lord Shiva at the top. Beautiful visuals, good. 4:06 p.m. Birdwell gives a tour of the second floor, mostly bedrooms and storage. Not much here. 4:13 p.m. Tour of the bedroom where apparition was sighted. Apparition room. Jessica backs into Jake, who says boo and makes her jump about a mile. Funny. Good. 2:23 p.m. Birdwell shows us the basement. Wow. Plenty of old equipment and research spaces. Monkey cages. The uncovered well is great, but can't see much. Too dark. Super creepy. Good. 4:32 p.m. Find a room with a standing mirror in it, but no machines. Our tracks unsettle the dust of the floor, and Jessica notices a sinister-looking symbol painted on it. Great discovery. Good.
Fucking digital sketch. Oh, hey, Chekhov left his gun here.
All 6 bullets.
There's 6 whole
Hope it
bullets
doesn't
in
jam.
here.
Oh boy.
Man, Chekhov left his gun, and there's conveniently only 5 bullets in here. Isn't that weird? There's 5 of us.
Oh, wow. Hope I don't miss.
Better not miss.
Hope the narrative doesn't miss.
Jesus. We go to Matt Kirkland's journal.
Oh, more from me. This is it, gang. We're on our own for the night. Kids locked in the candy store. Now we just have to find where the candy is hiding. I gotta say, this place is pretty wild. The narrow dirt track leading up to Foundation House is just incredible. Basically, you're driving through a dense forest, branches whacking the windshield and everything. Claire and I drove real slow, rocking on the ruts so hard at times I thought our heads would bonk together. Then the house, chipped and peeling and generally worse for wear, suddenly appeared out of the trees, like a lost city half buried in kudzu. Even Claire's eyes popped wide at the sight, and she's pretty hard to impress. When you watch the episode, the video speaks for itself, but it's not quite like being there. This place gives you that melancholy, deep feeling only ruins can. The crew had gotten here ahead of us to set up on the veranda. Jake on camera, Kevin on audio, and Jessica prepping. Jim Birdwell, who works for the property owner and would give us a tour and the keys of the place. A lot of people naturally get nervous with a camera lens aimed at their face from only 3 feet away, but Birdwell handled it like a pro. The only problem is he didn't have much to say aside from a basic tour. As a local, he'd heard the stories about the house, but he'd never seen anything strange himself, which is fine, though we're always hoping for gold. A story about how he saw or felt something himself, angry religious railing against messing with spirits, a dire movie-style warning to stay away. No such luck. Instead, he went on a rant about teenagers coming out here to booze and fornicate. No matter how well he locked up the place, they always found a way inside to party hardy. It all didn't bode well for what we'd find inside, but my fears proved unfounded. The inside is as amazing as the outside. The first impression is actually a bit of a shock. You know you're instantly being transported back in time. You're just not sure to which decade. The architecture is grand with classic elements, and the paneling and wallpaper are all beautifully vintage, if peeling and scarred by graffiti. The furniture, however, is pure early 70s, with couches, throw rugs, and polypropylene?
Yeah, polypropylene.
Polypropylene. Yeah. Polypropylene chairs saturated in once vibrant pea green, yellow pink, and peach colors or flower patterns. The interior design theme is jarring. Upstart flower power seeming to smirk while it flips the bird at the stodgy, unhip, and square architecture. I told Birdwell how grateful we were that Gravius gave us exclusive access to the Foundation House.
But yeah, Gravois,
only then did I find out.
That.
Yeah. Oh, Gravois, yeah. Oh, Gravois, yeah. Only then did I find out our lucky break was because the company sold the land and the new owners are going to tear the house down. So why shouldn't they grab some extra cash on the way out, since we offered some? You heard me right. They're going to tear it down for a wilderness hotel. To me, it was like hearing the Eiffel Towers getting demolished to make way for a Walmart. It looks like we'll be getting only one shot at this gang. 72 hours. No pressure, huh? The first major thing you see after you walk in the door is a spacious foyer with a grand staircase leading up to the second floor in a graceful tapering pattern. To the right is the library, packed with mildewy old books. Fermi's Thermodynamics next to Castanada's The Teachings of Don Juan and Crowley's Book of Lies. To the right, the relatively hygienic dining room where we set up base camp. Straight ahead is the family room, where generations of local kids came to drink beer, spray the walls with the graffiti, and do all the other rituals that go with adolescence. The family room opens into a wonky-looking terrace. I trust walking on about as much as I would a thin pond of ice. There's a kitchen breakfast area, storage and mudroom, and maid bedroom that the Foundation used for offices, still packed with old and dusty filing cabinets and desks. Some of these are still stuffed with yellowing paper, and even a few old 8mm home movies in rusty cans. As soon as I get a spare minute, I'm going to dive into all that. The grand staircase is very cool. You look up and expect the ghost of Scarlett O'Hara to come fluttering down in her muslin dress.
Muslin is the word.
A muslin dress. A large cobweb chandelier hangs suspended over its sweeping curves. At the top, there's a giant painting of Lord Shiva, the supreme Hindu deity who created safeguards and transforms the universe. Dusty and faded by time, but otherwise in pretty good condition. The painting shows him with his third eye on his forehead, wide open and blazing. The mystical eye symbolizes enlightenment and is able to engage in psychic experiences. It also destroys whatever it sees. I fell in love with it on sight, and I plan to ask Birdwell if I can have it or buy it. Upstairs was basically housing for the researchers and the subjects. Not very interesting. The higher you go in the house, the better condition it's in. The wallpaper up there is peeling, and the plaster ceiling is chipped and warped in a few places, but otherwise it's not in terrible shape. And there are far fewer bugs and nasties crawling around. The basement, however, is certifiably wicked. Renovated to form a series of experimental rooms. The air smells like minerals. Roots push here and there through the foundation walls, and there's minor flood damage around the perimeter. The uncovered well is 8 feet wide, and it's terrific. It creeped Jessica right out. We wouldn't go anywhere. She wouldn't go anywhere near it. The researchers built a pulley system over it. Apparently, they lowered experimental subjects down into the dark using a nearby control box with a bunch of big buttons. Weird, huh? Too bad there's no electric power feeding the house, or I'd be tempted to give it a whirl myself. We found what we think is the room Calvin Sparling said he was in when he had his bad trip. In our biz, we tag each room with a unique name to make things easy for our post-production people, and we playfully named this one the Saw Room after the horror franchise. I don't think you need to say it. I don't think you need to spell that out.
Yeah.
After that one horror movie. It had a stand-up mirror and totally wild occult symbol painted on the floor, but no strange machines, just a series of holes in the floor around the perimeter where they might have been before being removed. Where did they go? For now, that line of inquiry is a bust. Let me tell you about the vibe of this place. Outside, it grabs you. Inside, oh wow. Despite my childhood experience communicating with the dead, I've never claimed to have some kind of sixth sense when it comes to whether a place is haunted. I'm no medium. That's why I bring a crew and all the high-tech gear. But man, I swear there's something going on at this house. A dark, pulsing energy. Everybody's feeling it. They're all excited, which is how I know an episode is going to have that extra juice. Yeah, I know. It's a ghost hunting show. So you expect us to constantly talk about how we feel and ask each other if they feel something too. We do this because ghosts are energy and the body is a sensor for energy effects. But it's not very scientific. You have to take our word for it. There's something going on. We really feel something here. I swear I'm not kidding you about this. This place is active. Now we just have to find out who or what is here with us. Claire's methods to try and identify and isolate areas of the house where haunting claims have been made. Outside, we have a remote camera scanning the grounds for flashing lights. The rest of our gear is concentrated on the second floor, where the ghostly apparition appeared, and the grand staircase where the footsteps were reported. After isolating, we establish our baseline for temperatures, EMF, etc. And then use our gadgets to try and record any significant changes. Done, and done. Now we wait. Tonight, anything can happen. Ideally, we'll record video of the ghostly apparition and flashing lights, though that's never happened. We've never gotten that lucky. But you never know, right? That's why we're here. Especially with this being a new location nobody's ever investigated before. We're going into this with a sense of adventure and a few expectations. I think we'll get something. I just don't know what yet. In the first episode of Fade to Black, I shared my childhood experience with a spirit named Tammy. Some people see it as a badge of honor. While it was a blessing for me, it also reminds me of my biggest failure. My child's mind never thought to ask her about the afterlife. We talked about what we should build with Legos. We made up stories about the little houses and spaceships we built. I never asked her what happens when we die. If there is a God. If there's pain and pleasure on the other side. If our existence here on Earth means anything. The list of questions is endless, but I didn't think to ask a single one. For me, these unanswered questions became a lifelong search for decisive proof, documented, scientific, and replicable, that the supernatural is all around us. A lifelong quest to communicate. This is my hope, my prayer, my holy grail. Imagine if we had this knowledge. Don't scoff, don't laugh. Really imagine it. It would change the world.
It sure would.
Yeah.
Dear God.
Fade to Black, production, episode 13, Paranormal Research Foundation, raw video footage, 5:15 p.m. Close-up of Jessica Valenza's face, which welcomes the viewer with her well-known, bright, dimpled smile.
Hey, fam! I'm testing out our new GoPro camera. We usually use it for when we need point-of-view footage and as a backup. It's great for body-mounted cam work when we're exploring and running around. That sort of thing. How about we give it a whirl together and see what's up?
Camera pans to take in the dining room, where Kevin hunches over the dining table, plugging cables into a series of monitors. He's a bear of a man, big and especially thick around the waistline. Sweat stains form dark half-moons under his armpits. He mutters an obscenity under his breath.
Hey, Kevin. I'm giving our fans a quick behind-the-scenes tour of what we're doing. So, what are you doing?
Still grouchy, tech manager sweeps his beefy arm to present a messy jumble of boxes, cabling, and equipment trunks.
This is the control room, what we call the video village. By concentrating all video recording here, it means fewer bodies on the set and easier production. But that means having enough HDMI cables packed where I am sure I packed.
That's great, Kevin. Thanks. I'll let you go back to it.
Camera quickly moves back to the foyer, where she spins around for a brief close-up of her face.
Sorry, I had to get us out of there. He was about to get real technical and then start complaining.
She travels back to the foyer, where the camera settles on Jake, who is shooting the grand staircase with a camera perched on his shoulder.
There he is. Jake, my guy. Getting some B-roll or what?
Camera shooter smirks and snorts at her affected familiarity before ignoring her. She moves on down a wide corridor leading to the family room.
Too hard at work to say a simple hi, I guess? That's dedication, people, or something. Oh, I spy Matt. He who pulls the strings and makes it all happen. How about we go see what he's up to?
She passes an open door on the right, surrounded by an ornately carved frame. A quick pan reveals stairs leading down into the darkness.
And that, fam, is the basement.
Camera pivots again to frame her face in a personal close-up.
We don't need to go down there alone. That would be a very bad idea.
The view jumps. The metallic sound of a file cabinet door closing behind her startled her. The sound came from behind her. Camera swings to frame the dark doorway leading into a large room. Once the main bedroom, the Paranormal Research Foundation converted it into offices. In the dim light, we can see the outline of a desk, an old typewriter, and rows of filing cabinets inside. Something shuffles in the room's recesses. The camera's microphone picks up a creaking sound. The camera remains very still. No doubt Jessica is weighing the pros and cons of checking out the odd noise by herself. After a few moments wavering outside the doorway, she moves into the room.
Hello?
Screen darkens before the camera autocorrects. H1.
Shit!
The view shakes and jumps again. Are you okay? Camera swings around to show Claire sitting in an office chair behind one of the desks the Paranormal Research Foundation installed in the room. She holds an open file folder in her hand. Jessica blows out a sigh and laughs at herself.
I didn't see you there. What are you doing?
Going through some of the old Foundation files. They left tons of material. Reports, even some home movies. They were into some weird stuff.
Like what?
Well, this is a paper on the God frequency.
The what?
963 hertz. It's supposed to kickstart the pineal gland and promote mental clarity and connection to the divine. It's a path to oneness.
Okay, well, that is...
The view jumps again.
Jesus God!
Are you okay?
Don't tap me on the shoulder like that. You scared me.
Sorry about that. Do you have a camera on you?
Yeah, right here. I'm giving the new GoPro a run. Getting some behind-the-scenes stuff for the website.
Camera moves to a close-up of his half-smile.
Cool. Help me get a little B-roll, okay?
Sure.
Find anything interesting, my love?
I'm reading about a fascinating way to give people a headache. He chuckles as he exits with a final wave. Jessica follows him out to the family room. The place is a mess. Empty beer cans and liquor bottles litter the floor among various snack bags and condom wrappers around the feet of dirty couches, sofa chairs, and end tables. Cigarette butts fill a 7-Eleven big gulp cup. Gross. Graffiti covers the walls, gossip and pornographic drawings. This or that teacher sucks, the school sucks, the town sucks, life sucks, the whole world sucks.
Do you want me to get the whole room?
No, Jake will take care of that. I just want to score a little footage of this thing I found so that I could show him.
Because of the vast quantity of raw footage a reality TV show produces, handing it over to post-production in an organized fashion as possible is essential. Jake will shoot all the B-roll and slate it for easy discovery. Matt wanting Jessica to shoot something is like marking a book for later reference.
Right here.
Oh, that is creepy.
The camera lowers to frame what can only be described as a shrine in one dark corner. Burned up incense sticks clutter the bottoms of mason jars. Large number of colorful candles have been melted down to thick, hard puddles of wax. Odd symbols and Roman capitals fill the wall above it, forming an undecipherable language, some of it appearing Latin, other sections resembling spells lifted from Harry Potter novels. At the center of the display, various offerings. A Pokemon keychain, a lock of hair, tiny scrolls bearing written wishes. A splash of dried blood surround a cluster of small painted animal skulls.
What is it?
Some kind of shrine from the looks of it.
Yeah, but who made it and why?
My guess is kids did. They found some pagan rites on the internet and decided to try them out. Birdwell says kids heard noises in the house and saw flashing lights. Maybe this was their own way of trying to make contact with the spirits who live here.
This place seems to draw on the weirdos, huh?
It definitely does.
It's just a little alarming. Our most reliable reports of ghost sightings at this house have been kids doing copious amounts of drugs.
Matt produces another half smile, shrugs, and says nothing.
Well, I'll go show this to Jake so he can mark it for B-roll.
Thanks for your help, as always.
She swings the camera around one last time for a final personal close-up.
And that's our behind-the-scenes tour, fam. Duty calls. Ciao for now. Love you all.
She puckers up and blows a kiss at the lens. Next is Claire Kirkland's journal. I'm such a coward. On these trips, I've considered the day shift. After Kevin brings in the gear, I get everything calibrated and set up. I record baselines, position sensors. After that, I'm basically done. While everyone else stays up half the night slogging around the house chasing noises, I turn in early. The next morning, Matt wakes me up with a ginormous mug of coffee, and I get to work analyzing the overnight data for anomalies, searching for ghosts in the machine, so to speak. This investigation was looking at to start off like all the rest, smoothly, without a hitch. We now have this down to science. Supplies were lugged in, unpacked at base camp, sleeping cots set up, gear configured and powered on, ready to roll. Everyone knows what to do and how to do it. Everyone has a part to play in this, including me. I spotted Jessica sitting on her cot with a high recorder in her lap, popping fresh AAA batteries. GoPro camera she was playing around with rested next to her. We do love our gadgets at Fade to Black. She looked up at me and smiled, and I smiled back, and we suddenly filled with a crushing sense of envy. The executive producers hired Jessica to round out the team. All of us play a role on TV every week, but as a professional actress, she's the only one truly qualified to do it. She's doing what she was trained to do. Pursuing the dream. Me, I'm the one acting. I went outside. Van sat on its patch of weeds near the veranda, emptied of its equipment. Overhead, the darkening sky started spitting, and I was grateful for my raincoat. Okay, I thought, that's it. I'm gonna go tell Matt. As if summoned by my thoughts, he appears behind me and hugs me. His hands rested on my stomach, giving me a delicious tingle. Hey you, hey yourself. Are you okay? He asked me. You seem a little preoccupied. I was wondering the same about you. I had been, in fact. He seemed distracted for the past few days, and not just by the excitement of a new investigation, especially big as this one. Just the usual hassle with the producers, he said. Nothing I can't handle. The end of Fade to Black's first season is fast approaching. I'm wondering how much pressure he's under from Hirsch and Vogan. What about you? He pressed. Are you okay? It's a big question, darling, and then I chickened out. I could feel his breath warm against my cheek, and I knew he was smiling and happy, and I thought that maybe I should wait till the end of the season to give him the bad news that I want out, thinking this made me angry at him, and then angry at myself for being angry with him, and I get too much of what I want. I pictured shouting, and not enough of what I need, and just working some things out. I said, I'm fine. Come inside, Matt says. I want to show you something cool. I was headed to the camper. We need to start getting dinner ready. It'll only take a minute. I followed him back to the house where the team stood grinning at base camp. Jessica held a plate stuffed with cupcakes, each with a burning candle in it. Happy birthday, they all shouted at me and commenced the singing while Jake rolled tape for the show. When they finished, they all clapped while I fought a lump in my throat. Make a wish, Jessica said. I blew out the candles and kept my wish to myself. The cupcakes were chocolate, my favorite. I smile and wipe away a tear. Thanks, guys. Tomorrow the cupcakes will have gone stale, Matt explained. Hope you don't mind us celebrating a day early. Happy birthday, honey. Thank you, darling. When we get back to civilization, I promise to take you out to celebrate in style. And there you have it, diary. My big choice on the eve of turning 32. Be horrible to my wonderful husband and these good people, or go on being horrible to myself. No decisions tonight. That I can manage, but I won't stop overthinking it. Some things just can't be helped. Brief aside, thank you for the raid, Professor Lambio. Welcome, welcome.
Yes, hello.
I take a quick sippy. Mouth is dry. Fade to Black, production episode...
Hydrate.
Hydrate. Fade to Black, production episode 13, Paranormal Research Foundation, raw video footage, Friday, 8:41 p.m. Bedroom, identified on the team's floor plan as the apparition room, sparsely furnished with a bed frame, dresser, and vanity mirror. Claire and Jessica set up equipment on the bare floor. Flashlight beams splash off the cracked ceiling and intricate vintage wallpaper. The air puffs with plaster dust, which swirls in the light like restless spirits. Why are you shooting this? This is the boring part of ghost hunting.
It's all boring to me.
Claire snorts and regards him with one eyebrow raised, forming an amused look.
Anyway, Matt wants as much footage as he can get.
Because they're gonna tear the place down soon?
Yep. Probably wants it for his personal porn collection.
Claire snorts again, louder this time. The snort indicates she's found the comment hilarious, but refuses to laugh out loud at her husband behind his back.
Donnelly's gonna shit a brick when all this hits the edit bay. But I'm stating it but I'm slating it for the archive, so it'll be okay. It's the batteries I'm worried about.
Tiffany Donnelly is the story producer who shapes the raw footage into a coherent story in post-production.
The house is about to fall down anyway, like an ad for a tetanus booster.
Well, we're here now, so tell the nice camera what you ladies are doing.
There are 4 known categories of hauntings. 1, where an event imprints energy into the environment. At some trigger, the event replays itself like a tape. Another is inhuman, which might be demonic or elemental. Third is a poltergeist, where a spirit uses a human as an agent for telekinetic activity. The last is typically what we investigate, which is an intelligent haunting, where the spirit is conscious, intelligent, and may be willing to communicate.
That's interesting.
It's nice to see you express some interest in what this show is about.
Which one do you think we have in this house?
No idea.
The equipment would tell us?
Let me ask you a question. What's a ghost?
The soul of a dead person, I guess.
That's one idea.
Well, what else could it be?
Since there's no evidence for them beyond personal experience, the answer is whatever you want it to be. Jinn, banshee, shadow person, demon, whatever you like. Some, for example, believe a ghost is a telepathic manifestation of human consciousness. But let's say a ghost is a lost soul. What's it made of?
I don't have a clue.
And there's your definition. We don't have a clue. If we're measuring empty air, it'd be easier because we'd know what air is and how to measure it.
But
there are some basic claims we can test. One claim is a ghost may be observable, which means it can be audible or visible. Another claim is it might act on its environment.
like rattling chains and such?
Which means it produces force, and force requires energy. Since a ghost can pass through walls without damaging them, but can make a door slam shut, presumably it's energy that can somehow switch from potential to kinetic states.
And this potential energy is released by the body when it dies, right? That's what a ghost is.
Basic physics says no. When we die, energy is released as heat into the surrounding environment, and our body transfers to animals, insects, bacteria, and plants in one way or another eat us.
Ugh.
It's beautiful, actually. Kind of a physical kind of reincarnation. No bodily energy escapes intact after death, though. Occam's razor, the principle that identifying a phenomenon starts with whittling away unlikely explanations, says there are no ghosts. They simply don't work with physics. It's more likely ghosts are the product of sleep paralysis, parasidolia, a lack of critical thinking,
Okay, so getting back.
or epilepsy, or drug use, or sleep deprivation, or practical jokes, mental health issues, environmental phenomena. Given all that, it's no wonder 1 out of 5 people claim they've personally seen a ghost.
Getting back to this equipment you've got here, you're saying it observes the area and measures energy signatures, which you compare to baseline measurements to look for something that shouldn't be there.
Bingo. She stands to present a camcorder mounted on a tripod with a playful flourish. This camera will try to capture any visual phenomena. She gestures to 2 devices on the floor. We also have a zoom-high audio recorder and an all-in-one meter and data logger.
Know what the camcorder and audio recorder do.
This isn't your run-of-the-mill audio recorder, though. It's pretty high quality. We want the cleanest audio possible, with all the frequencies captured, and nothing that will muddy it. This unit records in wave format, uncompressed.
What about the meter? What does it do?
Rustling sound comes from behind the wallpaper. Camera pivots to zero in on Jessica, who stares wide-eyed at where the sound came from.
What the hell was that?
The all-in-one ghost meter is my baby. Logs EMF, barometric pressure, humidity, air temperature, and vibration events in real time. If anything that can be physically measured in the room changes, we'll know it. Camera moves back to her. Finally, we've got a Sony camera also capturing the area around the window, but aimed at it from the side. Full spectrum, able to capture UV all the way through the visible spectrum to IR wavelengths. For the staircase outside, we've got a geophone and another high. A loud bang disturbs the attic above. Another rustle.
Okay, what the hell is that?
A random noise that old houses make all the time.
Should we check it out?
Suit yourself. It's outside the area I set up to test. Everything's recording here. My part is done. She stands, dusts her dark jeans, and leaves the room. Jessica sighs through her nose.
Taunting her.
Investigator reaches and turns the audio recorder off.
She thinks she's better than this. She has no idea how good she has it.
Gotta say, though, I dig the whole school teacher thing she has going on.
Oh, you dig anything you can't have. Welcome to the club.
She sets a board on the floor and places several objects on it. Spoon, cigarette, playing card, tube of lipstick, little smiling rag doll laying on its back. These are trigger objects for the ghost to notice and play with. Next to these, she places a small Bible. The entity is inhuman, it may attack the holy book. Jessica outlines each in chalk and snaps a photo to mark their positions and how each is facing.
So, who actually died here? Any idea who this apparition might be?
Well, there's no record of anyone dying in the house, but there was a plantation near here. The land is very old. A whole lot of cruelty.
For an actor, you take all this pretty seriously, don't you?
I take every role seriously. Now zip it while I talk to the spirits and try to get their juices flowing.
She turns the high recorder back on.
Is there someone here with us?
She waits 10 seconds to let the air recorder run. She does not expect an audible response to suddenly appear out of thin air. The hope is that by recording on all frequencies, the recorder will pick up something she cannot hear. After a few questions, she'll let the device record all night, which will be played back at the end of the day to look for electric voice phenomena, voice of spirits.
Can you tell me what your name is?
She waits.
Do you know what year it is?
Waits.
Do you dream?
A piece of plaster falls from the ceiling onto the floor. She looks around nervously.
We're friends. Are you friendly?
The wall rustles again. It sounds like chuckling. It's one of the best lines in the book, on God.
Damn.
Yeah, Jesus.
It's so good.
I felt ice on my spine. I was like,
It's such a good one. Such a good line. Dog, okay, like, unironically, I wouldn't have, like, gone to all this trouble if I didn't think this book was fucking rad. You should all go read this book.
Yeah, Craig DiLouie is cooking.
Craig DiLouie is fucking cooking. When shit pops off, this story fucking goes places. Shit
God, I'm so
occurs
excited.
in this novel, I'm telling you.
oh my lord.
My turn to fade to black. Draft of a farewell letter by Claire Kirkland. I'm lying in a tiny bed in our camper parked in front of Foundation House somewhere in Virginia, resting while the team attempts to contact any spirits that may be residing inside. After tossing and turning a while, I found myself writing this letter to all of you to see how it feels. It is with a heavy heart but a lot of hope that I announce that I am leaving Fade to Black to pursue other opportunities. When I see a house alleged to be haunted, I see a monster. It doesn't matter if it's a 5-year-old ranch home in a planned suburban community or a cobwebbed, derelict old mansion. Inside is a mystery that doesn't want to be known. Where others spot ghosts, I sense something worse. Ignorance and superstition awaiting battle. I want to blast lights in its corners and leave it clean and whole. Leave it defined and understood. By the time I'm done, it's just a house again in an ordinary world governed by the mundane laws of physics. I'll go inside with my gear and methods intent on learning the truth. Only the darkness all too often swallows the light. All the effort, all the gear, if we don't do it right, we find nothing. But if we do it right, we could also find nothing. If a spirit isn't there, you can't definitively prove it isn't there, and anything not disproven can be interpreted as proof. There's nothing there becomes, oh, they couldn't find it, or what about the banging they couldn't explain? Over time, a skeptic stops being seen as someone using basic critical thinking to reject baseless claims, and she ends up being relegated to having an axe to grind on the other side of a he said, she said debate. A haunting is like a mirage that disappears when you examine it too closely. Once it's gone, it pops up somewhere else to invite and taunt you. In a short time, Foundation House will be torn down by its new owners. Matt sees this as something like a war crime. Me, I'm thinking maybe they have the right idea. In Greek mythology, the Titan Prometheus stole fire and gave it to humans, creating civilization. As punishment, Zeus bound him to a rock, and each day he sent an eagle to eat his liver, the organ where the Greeks thought human emotions resided. The moral of the story is knowledge brings eternal emotional torment. In the Garden of Eden, the serpent tempts Eve and Adam to eat the forbidden fruit from the tree of knowledge, and God punishes them by banishing them. The moral of the story is knowledge destroys innocence and produces suffering. The list goes on and on. It's an archetypical idea. Every overreaching mad scientist in every sci-fi movie is another retelling of this ancient story. Me? I say grab the fire. I say eat the fruit. I say bring on the suffering. The history of science is one of pain, broken dreams, and occasional triumph. This is the march of progress. This is the wheel of civilization. Some lines of inquiry, however, are a black hole. They become suffering without end or result. They distract from more useful inquiries. That's what paranormal research did to the brilliant scientists who once worked here. That's what paranormal investigations have become for me. An endless pursuit of understanding something that might as well be Santa Claus or the Easter Bunny. Rinse, recycle, repeat. The great inventor Thomas Edison once conceived of a ghost machine that would allow people to communicate with the dead. He envisioned its principle of operation being based on a highly sensitive valve, which could be activated based on the merest physical effort and magnified to produce some form of communication. An amazing mind worked on an amazing endeavor. If successful, he would have revolutionized science, made that human existence. Instead, he never built it. Never even designed it. Edison knew it would never work, not the way he intended. In the end, he must have realized that the futility of trying to communicate with something that can't be empirically observed and can't even be confirmed to exist. What did he do? He tore it down. So I'm leaving Fade to Black. While I salute Matt and the team for continuing their own search for truth, its suffering is not for me anymore. I'd like to return to my roots of study and explore many other magnificent mysteries. What's the universe made of? What's at the bottom of a black hole? Is time travel possible? Is it possible to interact with parallel universes? Why do prime numbers show a pattern? What is consciousness? I can't wait to find out. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If my modest contribution to Fade to Black made you think about the world even a little bit differently, I consider that a success. I hope you will always seek the truth with an open but critical mind, even when, perhaps especially when, it hurts.
Something gruesome's gonna happen to her.
Something bad's gonna happen to you. I can just feel it.
I'm literally putting my hand to the wall and looking up and I'm like, something sees death.
Something has
as
happened.
we're like, as these characters are getting developed, I can see the exact things that the demon is gonna haunt these people with.
You know what?
And it's so good.
You sure think you do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The two people who've read the book are like, yeah, you sure think you do.
Yeah, God.
I just like you're just giggling to yourself, sipping your drink of choice. Be like, oh, these poor unfortunate souls.
Oh,
they have no clue what they're in for.
I'm sitting here reading some of these, and I'm like, oh, they set that up really early, huh? Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Damn, that's crazy.
That wild.
This is one of my favorite segments of the book. I fucking love this part right here. I've broken this up so that all of us read a segment of this, so it helps you feel how disorienting this is to read, and I love it. It's really great. Claire is the person that's 2 days away from retirement that's going to die horribly.
No, you're right.
That's the vibe.
It really is. Like, damn. You only had 1 day of retirement left.
I know. She was so close. She's talking about her boy back home. It's fucked.
She's literally about to turn 32 tomorrow.
It's like, just put a big ass sign that says
First. Number one.
Number one. We found her in the basement. What was left
Or
her?
what was left of her, yeah.
She was EXE.
We had to identify her by her dental records.
And then he EXE'd his own mother. Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite segments in the book. I love the way that this is formatted. This is so fucking good. Paranormal Research Foundation files. Home movie number 1. Shot on Kodak 8mm film camera. Foundation house. Its white walls awash with sunlight. Old, but not yet the ruin it is today. The rambling structure sits on a wide, lush lawn that surrounded it before encroaching forest crowded it in as it later would. A cluster of sheep graze the green grass in a corner of the moving image. Instantly, we know this is a vintage home movie. The film is grainy, the colors a little washed out with warm highlights, flaring with light leaks. There's no sound. The film was shot in 1972 when 5 paranormal researchers conducted their experiments here. Its 50-foot length offers 4 minutes of footage. Cut to
A large garden, multitude of greens and splashes of red. A dozen young men and women crouch among tomato plants, lettuce rows, and other crops. They harvest the vegetables into baskets. They all look pink-cheeked, earthy, and bursting with the health of youth. A young woman wearing a halter top and round purple sunglasses cheerfully flings her hand out into a peace sign.
Cut to
A balding, 50-ish man with an astronaut's build chops carrots in the kitchen. Pots boil on the stove behind him. He wears a yellow golf shirt sporting an oversized collar. This is Colonel Charles F. Trantham, retired U.S. Army. As a psychologist with Army intelligence, Trantham liaison with the CIA's Office of Scientific Intelligence on Project Artichoke, which conducted hypnosis, forced drug addiction and withdrawal, and attempted to induce amnesia in human subjects. After the program was shut down in the mid-60s, he migrated to the Army's Psychic Weapons Research Program at DARPA, which helped set the stage for the 1st Earth Battalion, Project Stargate, and PSYOPs techniques that would be employed during the Waco Siege and the War on Terror. Trantham laughs and waves the camera away before returning to chopping the carrots.
Cut to
The young men and women sit around the tables clustered in the dining room. They eat and serve themselves from wooden bowls set among the bottles of wine. A few smile shyly up at the lens. One raises his glass as if toasting the camera. The man is Calvin Sparling.
Cut to
Family room. The large picture windows overlook the terrace and backyard garden are black with night. A man wearing a stylish casual suit and a prim amused smile sits in a sofa chair, nursing a glass of some alcoholic drink and a cigarette. This is Dr. Marcus Flick. Next to him, his wife sits on an arm of the chair, legs crossed, and similarly stylish in a chessboard pattern go-go mini dress, completed by leather knee-high boots. Her long black hair spills out from under her matching hat. She and her husband appear to be listening to someone who is speaking off screen to the left. Dr. Marcus and Gloria Flick studied psychology together at Stanford University in California and married in 1969. While at Stanford, they worked together on separate theses involving a replication of the 1961 Milgram experiment, which involved subjects being asked by an authority figure to apply what they believed to be harmful voltage to another test subject who was actually a paid actor. As the original experiment, they found a majority reluctant but ultimately willing to administer the electric shocks. The Flick's research goal was to transcend the original results by separate psychologically profiling the majority who administered the electric shocks and those few who refused. Sorry. Gloria Flick glances at her husband before turning back to the unseen speaker with a bright laugh. She leans to accept a joint.
Cut to eyes closed in meditation, a man with curly hair, flaring sideburns, and large glasses sits in the lotus position behind a steel table with white walls. Behind him, we can see the edge of a large hypnosis wheel with its black spiraling swirls. This is Dr. Don Chapman, once a professor of electrical and mechanical engineering at Berkeley and one of the foremost academic promoters of the human potential movement. After an auto accident in 1969 killed his wife and resulted in a mystical near-death experience, he became obsessed with exploring psychic communication with the dead. Cut to
A shaggy, cheerful, blonde bear of a man stands behind a young woman sitting in a sensory deprivation chair. She wears bubbled goggles and headphones. Her mouth is taut with concentration. The man's long hair, beard, and easy smile contrast with the stiff professionalism of his clean white lab coat. He's Dr. Sean Roebuck, whose theories inspired the Paranormal Research Foundation's creation. He earned his PhD in theoretical physics at the University of California at Berkeley, where he graduated summa cum laude with a thesis that postulated parallel dimensions based on the mass particles of being smaller than expected and gravity being weaker than the other elementary forces. This parallel dimension, he wrote, interacts with ours through gravity. Later, he experimented with psychedelic drugs and transcendental meditation, which he believed allowed the brain to observe neighboring dimensions as a psychic dream. Over time, he theorizes these dimensions could be physically accessed by a specific combination of mind and mechanics. Roebuck draws his hands from his lab coat to offer 2 hearty thumbs up.
Cut to
The front lawn, again in bright sunshine. The researchers stand ramrod straight and apart from each other. An instant later, they are standing in different places. Gloria Flick, now with her hands in the air like a football referee, signaling a touchdown. An instant later, they move again. This goes on for 10 seconds as they fool around with stop motion, ending with them all sprawling on the grass laughing.
cut to
The camera looks down at a man strapped onto a centrifuge, which spins rapidly. The man wears a strange noduled steel helmet and sensory deprivation goggles. The man silently screams.
cut to
Roebuck and Chapman stand behind a seated woman wearing a hospital gown and the bulky steel apparatus on her head. She is pale and crying. The front of her gown is dark with a brownish vomit stain. The skin around her eyes is similarly dark, as well as puffy. The eyes themselves appeared haunted. Behind her, the men grin. Roebuck pops a champagne bottle and pours Chapman a splash in a Dixie cup. He leans to pour a lith for the woman, which stays unfocused on the table in front of her. He takes his own swig directly from the bottle. Gloria Flick walks on screen holding up a sign on which she scrawled, "We did it." The seated woman stops crying, eyes glassy and deranged. She looks directly into the camera lens while the researchers go on celebrating. Her face shines with madness as it stretches to a broad, lunatic grin.
That's my fucking favorite part of the book.
Oh,
I can visualize
man.
that shit actually.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
God.
I can fucking see it. It's so good.
Ooh, we're about to get a snuff film, boy.
If you play it,
Jesus.
I hear if you play it backwards, they hail Satan.
If you play it backwards, Kermit says, "Hell, Satan."
Jesus.
Heidi ho, Kermit the Frog here. Yeah, I'm a star.
There's so many songs about demons.
It's awful.
That's insane.
It's not easy being Satan.
Moving on. Fade to Black. Produced episode 13, Paranormal Research Foundation, audio recording, Friday, 11:52 p.m. Recording begins with the sound of Matt coughing. He clears his throat.
Is it on?
Yeah, we're recording.
His voice sounds a little hoarse from talking for hours into the recorder and dusty rooms.
Okay, this is our last room in the upstairs, bedroom 5, EVP session.
Ready.
Are there any spirits here?
Wait 10 seconds.
Can you give us a sign if you're here?
Wait.
I'm looking for a Dr. Marcus or Gloria Flick. Is there a Marcus or Gloria Flick here?
Wait.
Dr. John Chapman? Dr. Sean Roebuck? Colonel Trantham? Are you here?
Wait.
You disappeared in 1972 and your work went unfinished. Can you tell us what happened to you?
Jessica sneezes.
Sorry, my allergies are going wild in here.
It's okay, but make sure you call it out.
She sneezes 3 more times in rapid succession.
Bless you. Wow.
Thanks. This is Jessica. I just sneezed, like, a lot.
Matt chuckles. This is team protocol. Whenever a group member makes a noise, they have to tag it as being produced by them.
All right, let's play it back.
Recording ends, another begins.
Swing and a miss. They're being shy.
Or maybe we're calling the wrong people.
What do you mean?
I mean, maybe the researchers are gone and someone else is here. Someone older, going back to the plantation days.
I was hoping it would all tie together with the PRF.
It might not, is all I'm saying. We should be open to the possibility.
Matt groans as he thinks it over.
Okay. How about you give it a try? Maybe whoever is here will talk to you.
Sure. Spirits of this house, we come in peace. We don't mean you any harm. We're friends. We'd really like to talk to you. Will you talk to us?
10 seconds.
Whatever happened to you, we care. We just want you to talk to us. If something's wrong, maybe there's something we can do to make it right. Maybe we can help.
Wait.
Do you need our help?
Wait.
If you want us to leave, we'll do that too. We'll only stay if you consent to it, but we'd like you to tell us.
Wait.
Why are you here? What happened in this room?
Wait.
Can you tell us what you want?
Wait.
That was great. You're getting really good at this. Let's play it back.
Recording ends, another begins. Matt sighing. This is the job. Talking, waiting, playing back, then trying again. Again and again and again. Patience is the name of the game, but Matt appears frustrated. Something about the house felt right for contact, but no longer does.
Absolutely nothing. 0. God, this is terrible.
We could try the spirit box. See what we get?
Maybe. The house just doesn't feel active anymore, you know?
When we got here, it felt like the house itself was alive. It was scary and exciting at the same time. I had goosebumps.
Now we're getting nothing. It's like they went into hiding.
What do you...
Another violent sneeze.
Bless you.
want to do? That sneeze was me, by the way.
Well, it's just about midnight now. If you want to turn in, that's fine with me. We can get a fresh start tomorrow.
What are you gonna do?
I'll keep trying. Maybe on the staircase and the ground floor. I may be up a while. This house.
I'll keep going too. We can wake up Jake if we get anything.
Sounds great, if you're feeling up to it.
I'm good to go as long as you want. There was something here. I could feel it.
Just doesn't want to be found.
Yet. It's checking us out. Testing us.
For what, you think?
To see if we're worthy? Maybe?
Maybe.
Sorry, that was dumb.
Not at all. Every maybe might be something. Oh, sorry.
If you say so.
I know so. There are two things I believe with all my heart, Jess.
What's that?
When it comes to the spirit world, I accept that nothing is certain. I also accept that anything is possible.
We next cut to Kevin Linscott's journal.
I've seen some crap, and I've carried most of it. We haul a lot of gear to these jobs, so much you wouldn't believe it. First, there's the TV stuff. The cameras, audio, lights, tripods, spare batteries, and about a mile of cabling. After that, you've got your ghost hunter gear. A lot of it. Ask Claire how many angels can fit on the head of a pin, and she'll want to measure it. As tech manager, I'm responsible for most of this stuff. Hirsch and Vogan wanted their own audio guy on a team, but Matt insisted on giving me a shot after they asked me from the investigation side in favor of a paid actress. I've gotten pretty good at it. Not bad for an ex-cop from Philly, you might say. The truth is a lot of cops end up drawn to paranormal investigation, more than you might think. Few have gone as far as I have, though. Don't get me wrong about running all the gadgets. I'm a gearhead. I'm sitting here at a dining room table I commandeered and loaded up with monitors and other equipment. All of it displaying and sucking up tons of data about a few dusty rooms and a staircase. If I ever get tired of it, I should apply at the CIA. I'm saying that while I like being a tech manager, I'm an investigator at heart. And right now, all my investigative instincts tell me we're going about this wrong. Paranormal investigation is an investigation. It isn't a lab experiment. People watch ghost hunting shows to see evidence of ghosts. They do not watch so they can tell their friends that we picked up a little EMF above the baseline, but it turned out to be the DM X930 dark matter detector wasn't properly calibrated. Debunking is about as exciting as mayonnaise. The trick is, ghosts aren't easy to talk to. If it was easy, they'd tap you on the shoulder while you're making supper and ask you if you'd be willing to discuss their feelings about your house being built under burial ground. You can't show up and expect them to perform for you because they finally have Because finally, they have an appreciative audience for their wall banging or floating down the stairs. As the saying goes, this ain't an exact science. I would say it ain't a science at all. In fact, I'd call it an art. Matt's a good investigator, but he's not as good as me. I told you I've seen some stuff. If there was a PhD in ghosts, I'd have one. Or maybe I'd be teaching it. One thing I've learned is that if you're going to make contact, it has to be with feelings and intuition. No touchy-feely emotions, but spirit-to-spirit contact. I'm what you call a sensitive, an empath, a skill I put to great use as a Philly cop and now use as a ghost hunter. I am tuned in. You can't learn this from a physics textbook. Ghosts need to be invited. They want to feel safe as much as when they're dead as when they were alive. They usually don't have much energy to spend, so they won't waste it playing the role of performing monkey for eggheads in lab coats. Alright, time to get off my soapbox and check the cameras. No ghostly appearances in the apparition. In the apparition room, no activity at all, no activity anywhere. It's real quiet. It's dead in here, if you don't mind the pun. One night vision camera with an infrared light shows a gray image of Matt and Jessica trying to get EVP, which, as you know from the show, stands for Electronic Voice Phenomena, disembodied voices showing up on electronic media. Jake Wolfson is up there with them now in the hopes of catching something interesting on camera. I stare at Jess a while on the screen. Matt pulls out the big guns, an Ouija board with an SB-11 spirit box. He should have me with him right now, doing what I do best instead of babysitting gadgets. Jessica is a solid investigator, like I said before. This game requires deep intuition, which she has, but she doesn't have a trained ear for the SB, and frankly, Matt's not as good as me either with it. The way the spirit box works is like this. It constantly sweeps through AM or FM frequencies, or both at the same time, and produces a rhythmic, well, I guess that's rhythmic.
It is just rhythmic.
Pulsing white noise, just rhythmic. Pulsing white noise punctuated by tiny moments of silence between steps. By scanning multiple radio frequencies, the spirit can easily make it so they can say a word or phrase, or make some other noise in response to the question. It's obvious when the box says something, though it often comes out distorted or otherwise hard to understand. We're always looking for a clear message. The problem is, when you're searching for EVP and a bunch of noise, it's easy to hear words that aren't there. The human brain is hardwired to see faces of wallpaper and clouds, even the moon. It also hears voices and white noise and can piece together real words from junk. Claire once told me this is called apophenia, another $1 million word. It happens, though, it really does, which is why you need a trained ear. On the monitor, Mac asks the room questions. Everything seems to be okay, so I figure I'll head outside for a bathroom break. If they give up and decide they need my help, they'll just have to wait. And now I'm back. Nothing's happened on the monitors, and Matt, Jessica, and Jake are in another room. I sit in my captain's chair, crack open the lager I pulled from the camper's fridge, and think about what just happened. Things may have gotten very interesting at the Foundation house. I walked out to the camper. To be polite, I moved really quickly. Once we get rolling, Claire turns in early, doing most of her work during the day, crunching her data. She opened her eyes and looked up at me. Anything happening? Nope, I said. The house felt active when we first showed up, but it went flat after the sun went down and we got our gear set up. Slowly, steadily, the atmosphere in here turned dull and lifeless, which strikes me as odd considering outside the world seems alive with bugs and critters in the woods. I went into the bathroom, did my business, and came out. This house might need a different approach. I keep saying we put too much trust in gadgets. She raised up one eyebrow, ready for one of our battles. I braced myself for another lecture about the scientific method delivered with the cold fury of Galileo lecturing the Pope that the Earth revolves around the sun. Do you think you could convince Matt of that? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Playing it cool, I opened the fridge and took out a cold bottle of Gold Glory. Convince him of what, exactly? That the show needs a new direction in its investigation methods? Not a challenge. She sounded hopeful. Suddenly, my intuition told me that we might be on the same side. I can try that next time I see him. He's under a lot of pressure from the producers, Claire said. He's trying to do something here. Help him. Sounds like there's trouble with the show. He won't talk about it, but I think something is going on. This was big news, but I didn't press her, as I believed her saying she didn't have the whole scoop. I said, I'll do what I can. No, Claire said, help him. Whatever it takes. I said I would, so I will. Back inside the house, I popped up the top of my Old Glory and took a sharp swallow. It tasted like victory, to riff on one of my favorite movie quotes. Then I allowed myself the smile I've been holding back. After all the haunted houses we've been investigating on the show, this is the first time I've been truly surprised. Claire's open to a new direction for Fade to Black. If she is, Matt will be. Which might just put me back where I belong, doing what I do best, which is investigating. Foundation House may be a dud so far, but I'm starting to like it.
I just checked chat and saw Daedalus go, fellow chat, I had to go buy ice cream. Did the ghosts get racist?
Oh my
No,
goodness.
Not
but
yet.
we're getting there.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Patience.
Patience, my dears.
Imagine
The
hippies.
the
The house-
racism.
The house was built near a plantation?
No, it is a
On
plantation
a
house.
plantation?
It's a
It
plantation
was,
house. Yeah.
okay.
It's an antebellum
Oh.
plantation house, yeah.
Jesus.
And then hippies took it
Okay,
over
yeah.
and did human experiments,
Mhm,
as
mhm.
you do.
It's like how Silent Hill
As
is
tends
like...
to be the pattern with places like this.
It's like how Silent Hill is 4 times haunted.
Mhm.
Right.
Uh,
I thought it was 5 times.
I think it's 4. I think 2 of them count as the same thing.
Got you.
Yeah.
I've talked about this before. I want to do another PowerPoint stream talking about the history of Silent Hill, the town, because I think it'd be really fucking funny to be like, this place is 4 times haunted by this, 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 and this. So I might do that.
That would be very interesting, though.
I might do that when I, if you're willing to be the victim.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Pog.
sure.
Cool.
Yeah.
Another collab of planned live on my streams. You'd never believe it.
Crazy.
I think since we've been going for 2 hours, we'll just wrap with these 2 chapters instead of doing all 3. Which means that we end with Fade to Black, production episode 13, Paranormal Research Foundation. First day hot sheet. Report emailed by Matt Kirkland to the producers.
Our arrival at Foundation House rolled out like the start of a horror movie, with the van crashing down a road that was more like a dirt track and bursting into a small clearing, where the rambling ruin of the house suddenly drove into view. No?
Yeah, it would be drove into view.
Yeah, okay. Despite the graffiti and junk left over from party years, the inside is similarly stunning, with gaudy old 70s furniture and experimental rooms and pretty much everything else just the way the researchers left it when they vanished into thin air. If we were to design a dream set for an episode, it would look like this. Unfortunately, it's all going away. The house and the surrounding property will very soon have a new owner, who's planning to tear it all down. As a result, Jake is shooting extra footage, which he's slating for my own use. Everything went smoothly, only we faced a rather odd challenge. Foundation House gave us nothing today. Usually with an old site like this, we play whack-a-mole with false positive environmental sounds like animals, neighborhood noise, and the like. We hear a noise or otherwise pick up an EVP or some other little oddity, which gives us some material on tape. Start recording, though the house decided to play dead. Started recording, though the house decided to play dead. Seriously, it's like it knows we're here. Yeah, I know how that sounds. The rain now constantly strums the roof like a distant murmur, but otherwise it's dead quiet. That in and of itself is remarkable. It actually shows up in the footage, the lack, which is not what we're looking for. The team's reactions are good TV, but it won't carry us over the finish line. Something needs to happen. The frustration over this among the team is palpable. I'm hoping this yields some interesting personal material, as I know you want more character development, and this might be a good opportunity to edge things in that direction. Besides that, Jessica is really stepping up to make her mark. Kevin wants to talk to me about shaking up our investigation approach. Jake's usual heckling is getting on the ladies' nerves, and my wife seems a bit off. The usual minor drama you find in a family like ours. Nonetheless, we're excited for tomorrow. I've got some great B-roll ideas. We'll do some interviews, and hopefully Claire will run her hands through all that dirty data and find a pearl. Meanwhile, we discovered all the Foundation's old files safely stored in cabinets, including a few home movies, which might offer a terrific unsolved mystery angle. Then tomorrow night, it's a whole new ball game. When the sun goes down, we'll be ready. Foundation House can play dead all at once, but I'm not leaving here without its secrets.
And that is our reading of the first 2 chapters of episode 13.
Hiten, can you just do the next one?
Oh, you know what?
It's just 3 lines? Yeah.
You're so right. You're so right. Your last teaser, my dear Legionnaires, is the first entry of day 2. Hang on. Oh god, I hit the wrong button again. There we go. Your first entry of day 2 is Matt Kirkland's journal. I saw our dear Danica wishlisted the book on Amazon because this stream got her interested. And if this got you interested, you should also get the book. We've posted, like I said before, I've posted a link at the top of the chat. If this got you interested in reading episode 13 by Craig DiLouie, you can pick it up on Amazon. You could also pick it up on things like the Nook app if you want to read it on like an e-reader device, or I bought it just on Apple Books. It's there as well. Did we find out if there's an audiobook? Yeah, we're not sponsored by Audible, but you can use Audible just so that we have your bases covered. This was actually, I think. Hang on, give me 1 second. I'm gonna do a quick. Yeah, that's the best way to do it, I find. I want to see if I can find if Mr. DiLouie has... Oh no, they're just links directly to Amazon and Barnes & Noble. I bought a physical copy afterwards, because I'm a freak who likes physical media. Oh, what? Can you be heard now? Oh, did I delete? Oh no, I got it, hang on.
Okay.
There we go.
The ghost took me. Guys, the ghost took me.
They got him.
The ghosts got him. It
me.
totally wasn't me hitting the wrong buttons. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
We thought it was Claire. It was Justin all along.
It was Justin all along. Ah!
I said something. If you're like fuck capitalism, like me, you know, you can obtain an ebook or an audiobook any way you would like. I won't judge you.
Yeah, there is a digital storefront. That I can't remember the name either, but there's
Hold on.
if you don't want to support your local big company, there's a digital storefront that allows you to purchase things directly from local booksellers, which I will always promote and support because that's what I do. I love to try and buy local, etc., etc. This was really fun. I am interested in doing more readings. They probably won't be published work.
Maybe.
It'd be fun if we could get like a big cast together. It'd be fun to read Dracula this way.
Ooh, yeah.
Because Dracula,
Ooh,
because Dracula's written like this, piecemeal.
I found it. It's bookshop.org.
Bookshop.org. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you don't want to support capitalism, go to bookshop.org. And you can support smaller local businesses instead. But yeah, it'd be fun to read Dracula like this. I think it would be fun to, read, like, some older creepypasta. Steal from Creepcast.
That'd be fun.
I think it'd be
some SCPs.
Fanfic streams.
Guys, SCPs, there should be a sub-goal. Next subathon, there should be a sub-goal to read SCPs.
I would love to, I'd love to do SCP readings. I think that'd be fun too. I like to bring you, listen, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I like to bring you the sauce. The goal of this channel has always been to make horror, accessible and, easy, and I want it to be that for you. So.
Oh wait,
no.
They said my audio broke. Is that what I read? Okay.
Yeah, okay. So we'll hang on
Oh,
before we go. I want to do one more thing, and then we'll end the stream with that.
Yeah.
I want to say thank you again to my lovely readers who agreed to be here tonight. You can tell us where you can find your shit. We'll start with Justin.
Sure. This Justin with a Y on YouTube. I do cringe Let's Plays in the old style that the algorithm doesn't like, but I don't care because I like playing games.
I like doing my Let's Plays in the cringe old style that YouTube doesn't like too. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
Loudon?
Yes, I am the Jaguar King Prince Loudman. You can find me on Twitch at the Prince Loudman and on YouTube as well, where I have my own video on demand channel for my streams, and on my other channel I do content of varieties.
Are you gonna do the thing where you cut another wrestling promo? You should. It'll be really funny.
Sure, I'll do that.
Cut a VTuber wrestling promo. It'll be really fun.
Oh, I got a few. I got you.
Fuck yeah. Mortis, mi amor?
Hi, I am Lone Mortis VT, your friendly neighborhood Quetzalcoatl. You can find me here on Twitch or on Blue Sky and on Twitter at Lone Mortis VT. I draw, I cry about Skyrim, I do all kinds of fun, funky, fresh things. I hope to see you. Come visit me in the Market of Things Freely Given. I'd love to have you. And thank you so much for having me, Mia Maud. This is fun.
This is fun. I'd love to do more of this. And finally, Mr. Lionimus Convoy, even though you were late, you two get to plug your shit. Where can people find you?
If they don't know where to find me by now, being around you, I don't think they ever will find me.
I'm a mystery.
You know
That is
what?
You got me there.
You got me there. I've prepared for us to raid into our dear Minerva, our dear party demoness. But before we do that, Justin, do you want to hit them with the teaser of the first
How
entry
chapter
of day 2?
How day 2 starts. Matt Kirkland's journal. We hit the jackpot, gang. This is big. Mind blown.
Thank you for being here, and I will see you guys. I'll see you guys Tuesday. There will be no stream tomorrow. I have an appointment. But for now, goodbye.
See ya.
Bye-bye.